Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Good morning, everybody. It's the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. It is Tuesday, July 25th. We're knee-deep in training camp. And as always, we got the entire crew here. Jeff Iafrate joining me, my partner in crime, Sam Flannel. In the booth, the smooth JB. Is that another merchandise item?
It is.
Oh
this
my
is
gosh.
the Lambo litter box.
The Lambo litter box?
Yeah.
Yeah, JB never misses with his merch, man. And as always, we got Lucas Klotz in the TD booth. That man's ready to go. We got a packed show for you guys. Yes, it is. It's going to be a great day. Packed show for you guys. A lot of Lions football to cover, as you guys know very well. NFL seasons, preseason's not too far away. So we got to get back into everything. CJ Gardner-Johnson yesterday, right after the show, of course, right after our show, he goes down. We all were talking after the show, and we were all panicking, planning to talk about today a diagnosis of him being out for the entire year. Guys, he avoids injury. He's okay. CJ Gardner-Johnson, he went through an MRI. Hallelujah. Went through an MRI, and at this point, he's day-to-day. So it wasn't an ACL tear like I was scared it was. There's the graphic. Dodged a bullet. You can see that on Woodward Sports, all social medias. It says the MRI on Lions CJ Gardner-Johnson revealed no structural damage. That's key to his knee, and he's considered day-to-day at this time. Now, the scary part of this whole thing, too, is Jerry Jacobs commented on it, and he said, when I went over there, I think he said somebody stepped on it, but I didn't see it. I just see him go down, and I seen him grabbing it. He said, I went through that too, where I grabbed mine. And Jerry Jacobs tore his ACL last season, or the season before that. So, yeah, we were worried, but we're good.
Oh, my God.
Deep breath.
Dude, I was on suicide watch yesterday from about 10 a.m. to noon. Ask Flannel, man. I was sitting there. We were just getting done hyping him up about how huge he's going to be covering Travis Kelce week 1 and how the impact that he's going to have on this defense. And he's the vocal leader already. And then for him to, if he would have had like some season-ending injury day 2 of Lions training camp, it would have been the same old Lions. But he's back.
He's back,
and this
baby.
is how you know this is not the same old Lions, baby.
And people are chiming in already. Philip C. says, according to the team, he sprained his knee, still ain't good. Well, Philip, I'll take that over an ACL.
Yeah.
Sprained knee is not, that's day-to-day. Yes, it's not great he's injured, but trust me, he'll be back before the season. He will be. John Lord says, we would have been fine. We have depth there. El Gato. Everybody else chiming into the chat. Cordy Boy, Nobody, Tyrone Wilson. Big show picks, as always. Appreciate all you guys for chiming into the YouTube chat thread, woodwardsports.com, to get involved. And the Lions were prepared for this. They have enough depth. But that can't be a reason you're okay with this injury.
Right.
Like, you'd much rather have a veteran in this league, CJ Gardner-Johnson, who not only for his play on the field, but his leadership on the field. He sets the tone in that defense, Sam.
Well, that's the thing. And to John Lord, I understand that when it looked like CJ Gardner-Johnson might have a serious injury and he might be out for the season, that you have to cope at some point to say, oh, they'll be fine. They have a deep secondary. But the reality is, wouldn't you rather have one of your prize free agent signings? Wouldn't you rather have the guy who had 6 interceptions in 12 games last year, tied for the league lead in only 12 games? Wouldn't you rather have arguably your most talented and your best secondary player? Wouldn't you rather not have to test the depth right away and have to play a rookie maybe before he's quite ready? Because at this point in their careers, there's no doubt that CJ Gardner-Johnson is a better player than a guy like Brian Branch.
Yes.
Do I think Brian Branch can be great even this year and maybe even in years to come? Absolutely. But you want CJ Gardner-Johnson to be here and available, and we all just breathe a collective sigh of relief. I'll tell you what, Lucas, you know, it was pretty dark times around this office, especially with you, man. I was worried for your mental health. I thought we were gonna have to call SMA for you.
Real quick. I was sitting there contemplating things. But you know what? We witnessed why Brad Holmes is such a great GM yesterday, because the ability to go get Brian Branch in the second round, these are exact situations why you do it. So, yeah, it sucked that CJ would have got hurt, but the Lions would have been not just fine, but they would have still been in a good place organizationally. So as much as it would have hurt, it feels good to have a guy like Brad running the shit now.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Eric Allen says, I'm not a religious man, but I prayed for a second yesterday. Getting that news that he was out for the year just confirms that the curse is over and that we will continue to rise from the ashes. Spot on, Eric.
Bars.
Happy Camper Harry says the show is best when they get all their due say. When one person just goes on and on, that's when it gets tough to hang in there. Lucas, Jeff, do an outstanding job. Gabby's cool. Again, appreciate you, Happy Camper Harry, for tuning in, showing some love. Funky says, CJ, GJ will be fine. This is a blessing in disguise for Branch and the other Joseph. See, the other part of this, and I tweeted this out yesterday, last season when Tracy Walker went down, this opened up plenty of opportunity for Kirby Joseph, but with rookies playing comes rookie mistakes. And Kirby, through his first couple games, he struggled. But he turned into a great player late in the season. But the Lions can't afford, as much as I love Brian Branch, to allow a rookie to make mistakes.
No.
Like, you want guys that are veterans, that know what it takes. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, you talked about it, Lucas. I mean, he guarded Travis Kelce on the biggest stage. Like, you want a guy like that in your lineup week one. Again, especially on that stage. Thursday Night Football, opener on the road. Everybody's going to be watching against the Super Bowl champions. Thank goodness he's okay. Even though Brian Branch, I get it, the depth is intriguing. You'd much rather kind of ease Brian Branch into this role instead of throwing him out there. Because, yeah, in a season where you expect him to win 11 games and win your division, I'm not all for rolling out as many rookies as possible. So I'm cool with CJ being back. And Dan Campbell just talked about it. I just got this sent to me. Tim Twentyman just tweeted out. Dan Campbell said cornerback CJ Gardner-Johnson will be okay, and the injury suffered Monday was not serious. Campbell said he'll be out a day or two.
A day or two.
He'll be
That
all right.
is, I mean,
Would you
that's...
look at that?
that's
Would you look
nothing.
at that, Flannel? Everything's A-okay.
Now, here's the other concerning part, and I want your guys' reaction to this. Tim 21 also tweeted out, thanks to JB for sending me this, Jamison Williams won't practice for a day or two with a leg injury, per Campbell.
Oh, man.
Now, that's more concerning.
No, why?
Because-
it's not. I don't think. Like, if he would have, even if he was playing week one, I really wouldn't be concerned about this. I think any type of injury this early on in camp, because the Lions are one of the only teams right now going full on in training camp right now. A lot of teams report next week. So the fact that players are kind of getting hurt right now, I guarantee they're just being overly precautious. Like, Marvin Jones isn't practicing. I understand it's
Right.
a vet, but the reason why you rest the vet is so he doesn't get hurt. They're older, their body isn't like that anymore. So they're going to be overly precautious with everything.
Well, the reason why I'm concerned with Jamison is not the injury, but the fact that this is the time for him to get all the reps, because once the season starts, he can't play.
Yeah.
So he can't practice. He's done. So at least now, this is your opportunity. So any practice he misses, that's concerning. I think he needs every practice. But hey, this is what, also the benefit is of J-Mo and Jared working in the offseason, because they've got plenty of chemistry already built up.
Yeah, I mean, the sad reality with Jamison Williams is that right now availability has not been his strong suit. So even just hearing about a small little minor injury that's going to keep him out of some practices, it concerns me. But at the same time, as much as we'd like to see him get reps in training camp and in off-season practices, the reality is he's not going to be able to play until week 7. So my biggest concern is him being on the field as soon as he is available. Don't make anything serious that doesn't have to be serious by maybe playing or practicing on something that you can rest. So at this point, I'm not too concerned, but Jamison Williams, if he's not available when he is actually eligible to come back from suspension, that's when my concern is going to be on full-on red alert. I'm already concerned right now, but as long as he's on the field when he's eligible, I'm cool.
Yeah, I'm with you, Sam, as well. Funky says he's chiming in. It's training camp. Give these rookies, or those rookies, all the extra snaps you can. Remember, Walker was in camp and Kirby didn't get the extra reps like Branch can. That's a great point, too, because Tracy was injured during the season. If this injury was serious, Brian would be getting early reps in training camp. So, to Funky's point, speaking of the Lions and the NFC North, what's going on with Jordan Addison, by the way?
Oh,
boy.
God.
What the hell's going on with this guy?
Apparently he had a dog emergency, which I don't know if I'm buying, man. I don't know if I'm buying it. I'm sorry. But reports came out, and they said that, breaking news, he was going 140 miles an hour last week due to a medical emergency with his dog. This is why we should not be so quick to judge someone despite how they are being portrayed. And, yeah, I was going to say, as a wise man once said, cap. I don't believe this for a second. If he was going 140 for his dog, I don't think it would. No, like, I'm sorry. You don't go 140 at 3 a.m. because your dog's having an emergency. Like you can't even see. You're gonna kill your dog more likely going 140.
I was gonna say, like, God forbid anything happens, you and your dog are dead. So is it worth it? And also, this is what confused me, and I sent this text in our group chat when I first saw the news. I mean, isn't there a vet like locally in pretty much most areas in the U.S.? Like, where on earth do you have to drive 140 miles per hour to get to a vet, especially in Minnesota?
No.
Like, I'm sure there's a vet up the street or something. You have to drive 140 miles per hour to save your dog, which, by the way, I'm all for saving dogs. I love dogs. But what? Like, I'm just confused by this. Is this something that Jordan Addison kind of pulled out of his behind and was like, hey, man, I'm trying to save my dog, or is it serious? I don't know. But 140 is extreme.
Dude probably got pulled over and had his dog in the passenger seat and was like, yeah, he was feeling nauseous, had to rush him to the vet real quick, but no chance he was actually doing that to rush his dog to the vet. I'm sorry.
I mean,
and people are saying, real quick, sorry, Sam. People are saying, his dog was at home, it was 3 a.m. Was his dog with him?
I mean, I would really hope so.
Yeah,
I feel like
if he's
that'd
not,
be his whole
then what are you
alibi
doing?
right there.
Yeah, that's an L. And people are talking about it was 3 a.m. See, I didn't know that. So, yeah, no vets are open. You got to go to an emergency vet, which those places are open 24 hours. But 140 miles per hour, damn, Jordan Addison. Luckily, no one was hurt. I think that's the bigger thing to take away. Now it's like all fun and games because he's fine, but 140 is ridiculous. I mean, you can go like 80, 90, I understand that, but 140, I mean, you're drag racing at that point.
Well, that's the thing. The reality of the situation is when it comes to getting in trouble for speeding or something like that, the easiest way to regain public favor, maybe to get out of it, is to say, oh, I was trying to save my dog. And for the record, if my dog was in a medical emergency, I would probably go a little bit over the speed limit as well.
Of course.
But 140 at that point, you have no control over your car. What if something happens? What if you miss a stop sign? What if somebody runs out? You kill them. That's the reality. You are putting others' lives at risk to... I mean, it'd be ironic if he were telling the truth, if he were trying to save his dog, but he's also driving at such a speed that it's reckless no matter what. I don't care what your emergency is. You cannot drive 140 miles per hour. That's insane. Just think about that, people.
Yeah,
think
140.
about driving your car 140 miles per hour. I've never driven mine even like 95. And sometimes even 95, I'm just like, oh, shit. 140? It's a deadly weapon at that point.
Oh, Taylor chimes in now. He says, or she, I don't want to judge here. I don't know, Taylor. 140 in a 70 is bad enough, but it was also in a 55. It was in a 55?
That's more than twice.
Dude, that's almost 100 over the speed
You're
limit.
damn near approaching 3 times at that rate.
And
thank God. Imagine if this was J-Mo. Could you imagine the noise around this? But no, it's Jordan Addison.
Well,
J-Mo doesn't bet on his team's game either, but if he was going 140, dude would probably get like a 2-year suspension, lifetime ban. Never allowed to step foot in Detroit by some of the fans. It would be terrible.
If it was J-Mo, he'd be banned for life.
Yep.
I mean, it is what it is.
I mean, can we just say that he might have just seen the latest Fast and the Furious movie and wanted to test out, how fast and furious he could go?
I mean,
Risk-taker.
like JB, if a girl was home alone, would you even drive that fast? Would you go 140? If she sent you that "I'm home alone" text?
What girl are we talking about here?
Oh, okay. So see, now they're
Who
bad.
are we talking about here?
Taylor Swift. She hits you up. You going 140 to get over there.
I'll go 80.
See, not even JB.
I'm
go
not
80.
even going. I'd go like 35 and a 55 if Taylor Swift was home alone.
Okay, well,
Stay away.
that's a statement. All right, well, we'll go to break. When we get back, I do want to get into some of the training camp updates just around and being reported. Just take some they took notes on, it was on Sports Illustrated as well. Woodward Sports are coming out with articles. And I want to get to some of the training camp updates. We'll get everyone's reaction to them and much more. But before we do that, JB, can you tell everybody about our friends over at Big Boy?
Oh, definitely, because Strawberry Fest is back at
What?
Big Boy. Yes. Try the classic breakfast items like the strawberry hotcakes, the mouth-watering red velvet waffles, or if you're not feeling breakfast, try the strawberry bacon chicken wrap, or cool off with the refreshing summer splash salad. But don't leave without getting some dessert, because they have their very delicious classic strawberry pie, the deep-fried vanilla Oreos, and of course, the strawberry hot fudge cakes, and so much more at your local Big Boy.
How would you like to win not one, but 2 vehicles of your choice? One for you and one for your wife, your girlfriend, or your best bud. Get to Lady Jane's today for an award-winning haircut and automatically enter for your chance to win. Courtesy of Les Stanford Buick GMC of Ferndale. Lady Jane's, open 7 days a week, walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome. You have an opinion? Make sure it's seen and heard. Corner, jumper, tweet us, hop on the YouTube chat, slide in the DMS at Woodward Sports on all social media.
Jeff Iafrate here, and I got to tell you about our friends over at Cintron because I got a question for you guys. How would you like to win $100K and a Vegas trip? Take your closest friends and live it up in the city that never sleeps. It's the Cintron Energy. Drink it and live it. Purchase a 24-pack today and enter to win the $100,000 Vegas giveaway at drinkcintron.com/Vegas and buy a Cintron at your local Meijer. Cintron, the healthier energy drink with great taste and the choice of people who desire to look good, feel great, and be the best version of themselves. drinkcintron.com/Vegas. There you have it. This is the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network, and as you see, those are some of the highlights at training camp, and that was captured by our guy Noah. Right, correct?
Shout out. Yeah, Noah's down there grinding, getting good shots, good interviews, everything you could want.
Yeah, he really is grinding, man. He's getting the best footage. I mean, I saw those clips, but not in that quality from different sources. So there you have it. You saw Jared Goff throwing to Jameson Williams, a couple reps there as well.
Looking good, looking pretty healthy. Looking good.
Galloping Lake says, I thought J-Mo got hurt. I'm pretty sure that was after that. So this is all before. But I don't think it's serious. He'll be all right. I want to read some of the updates, and this is on SportsIllustrated.com. Shout out to our guy Doc for cooking up some articles here. He cooked up a early Lions training camp risers article, and then we got one from DetroitLions.com kind of going through some of the takeaways, and that's Tim Twentyman and Mike O'Hara, and they do great work as well. Now, I want to start with the training camp risers because it's always interesting when you hear guys that are making noise in training camp. And here, the doc listed Brian Branch as one of those guys, and he writes, the young defensive back stood out more than any player on day one of training camp. With his ability to read and recognize what is happening in front of him, it is clear the former Crimson Tide defensive back has been studying his notes from the spring. Branch, along with rookie Sam Laporta and Jahmyr Gibbs, caught the attention of veteran quarterback Jared Goff. And this is Jared Goff speaking on it. Yeah, I mean, those guys right there, you said, Gibbs, Laporta, and Branch. I know there's plenty more, but yeah, they're just pros, and they've showed up and gone to work and put their head down and do the right thing, said Goff. Similar to, I think, of Aiden Hutchinson last year. Just kind of a don't say a word, do the right thing every time, and be the best player you can be. And they'll have their impact in some way or another. But it's been fun to see those guys grow in a role of their own, and they continue to grow. Now, Brian Branch is somebody that I'm extremely excited for because if you guys remember before the NFL draft, again, I'm going to reiterate this, he was a first-round pick. He was always a first-round pick. He was the best safety coming out of this draft. So when you hear things like this about Brian Branch, and then you hear, yesterday C.J. Gardner-Johnson going down, we can all agree that Brian Branch will be playing, and he will be making an impact, especially with Aaron Glenn, who likes to roll out with a ton of DBs out there.
There's no chance that Brian Branch is going to have some type of redshirt year like people are expecting him. And even if that's what they desired him, Brian Branch is way too smart and way too skilled and has played way too much high-level football at Alabama since a freshman. He started as a true freshman at Alabama, and now he's playing basically going to be at the same speed, the SEC, NFL speed. Obviously not the same, but is very similar. If people think that they're going to avoid playing a young, smart player who's going to be contributor for them in the next coming seasons. They're going to play him as much as they can, and even if it's not a lot at first, he's going to play his way onto the field without a doubt.
What do you think about that, Sam? Brian Branch making noise already, third-round pick.
I mean, there's no surprise in that, honestly. So when the Lions got Brian Branch, I thought, and I think we all thought that was a steal. In my opinion, Brian Branch was a better 40 time away from being a top 20 pick in the NFL draft. And the Lions got him, I believe, at number 48 overall in the second round, if I remember.
Yep, second round,
if I remember it correctly. And that's the thing about Brian Branch. And Lucas, you hit on it. He is a smart, technically sound player. He is a very, very smart player who can probably start day one on any team, but it would probably be best if he were to learn a little bit behind a more veteran secondary. But that just means that when his number is called, he is going to be ready. He's got the versatility, he's got the smarts, he's got the talent, he's got the pedigree playing for Alabama under Nick Saban. What is not to love about Brian Branch at this point? And the fact that John Macaron listed him as the guy that stood out the most, I'm not surprised, but it just confirms my feeling that was my favorite pick from the draft at the time, and I think it was the one that made the most sense. And it seems like the Detroit Lions secondary could be set up both for this year and for many, many years to come, and that is very, very exciting.
JB, when you think of Brian Branch, second-round pick, and a guy that you could play right away, how early are you expecting him to make some noise this season? Early on, or you think he comes around later in the season? What do you think?
I think he comes around later in the season because, as you guys said earlier, he is still the rookie. He is going to make those mistakes, but I think AG is going to give him enough time to go out there and at least get his feet wet, try some things out to see how he progresses out there on the field. And even when GJ went down, yes, we all were concerned. That's a huge scare. But at the same time as well, too, you do have other guys in depth that you're just waiting to see what happens with. And Brian Branch is definitely one of those guys. As you all said, he's an Alabama product. And the training days there are eerily similar to what they experience now in the NFL because these guys practice a lot in heat. And Nick Saban does not play around. So I think, as Goff said, he's a guy that just puts his head down, goes to work, and he's been studying his notes. I think we would have been fine.
And you look at some of the other guys that John mentioned as well. Another player that you didn't hear too much about last season, but you heard a lot of that 3-13 season is Charles Harris, who earned that extension really after being a former first-round pick, never really making noise in the NFL, but then comes to the Lions and has a career year, a breakout campaign in 2021. And John writes this about Charles Harris. Harris could be seeing a little more playing time at the Sam linebacker position this season. In 2021, Harris had a breakout campaign in Detroit and is known for his success playing on the edge as a pass rusher. If Harris can add additional responsibilities to his game and thrive, Aaron Glenn's defense has the chance to take advantage of five-man looks. Being able to quickly read pass plays and intermediate looks will give Detroit's defense more options from different looks. And Charles Harris, and when we talk about this defensive line, it's funny because we never mentioned Charles Harris, but people forget in that season, he had 7 sacks? 7.5 sacks. And last season, him and Aiden got really close, and it seemed like when Charles was there, John Kaminsky was there, that Aiden had success. Like in the game I bring up is that game against Washington, the Washington Commanders. That's when Charles Harris, probably his best game of the season for Charles. But who else was it the best game for? Aiden Hutchinson.
3 sacks, yeah. And in Charles Harris, he's one that was a bit of a revelation in 2021. He was a former first-round pick who was a bust at that point. I believe he had 6.5 sacks in his first 4 seasons combined. Comes in 2021, leads the team in sacks, has 7.5. Last year was an injury-plagued season, and he has become a bit of an afterthought. And of course, when you see the emergence of James Houston as the second pass rusher, you think maybe Charles Harris isn't someone that the Lions need anymore. But if he is to get some time at Sam linebacker, honestly, that was a bit of a surprise because I always thought his future in the NFL, even his future on the Lions, was more of a pass rush specialist. That's a mouthful. But at the same time, if he can add a more diverse skill set playing the Sam linebacker, playing the run, playing in pass coverage, I mean, I'm not saying that I expect great things out of him or anything, but it shows that he's trying to carve out a role with his team. Maybe Aaron Glenn can get something out of him because maybe they don't need him to be that guy that is second on the team in sacks. Maybe they need him to give the linebacking room some more depth because as much as we like Jack Campbell, as much as we like Malcolm Rodriguez, as much as we respect what Alex Anzalone did, the linebacking room could still use some work, and maybe Charles Harris is that guy who becomes that revelation and kind of a new role. It wouldn't shock me or anything.
And on top of that, too, not just Charles Harris, he mentioned Jahmyr Gibbs, Starling Thomas, the fifth, who...
That dude's a speedster.
Yeah.
He was they were talking about in camp, he was the only corner that could run step for step with J-Mo. He was an undrafted out of UAB, I believe.
Yep.
I think he only 2 years at UAB, but the dude's a stud. You want to talk about a guy who's going to be a contributor if he makes a team on special teams? I could see him kind of taking Khalif Raymond's spot as returner to keep him healthier. But Starling Thomas, that dude's a dog.
Yeah, you know what? That's how Jerry Jacobs kind of got his own way in the NFL, and specifically with the Lions, his training camp, he was signed as an undrafted free agent, and he stuck around. So, I mean, who no telling Starling Thomas can't do the same thing. John also mentions Riley Patterson in here, and he writes, releasing Michael Badgley likely indicated the team was comfortable moving forward with Patterson, who had a previous stint in Detroit. It was hard to let Bagley go, Dan Campbell said. It was tough. I've got a lot of respect for him. We wanted to get another look at Riley Patterson. We feel like they are very similar type players, Badgley and Patterson. We like Parker Romo also. He's kind of a wild card with a big leg. Those two guys, let's get a look at and let them compete against each other. So there you go. There's your reason for Michael Badgley getting cut. They clearly like Patterson and Parker Romo. But to speak on Jahmyr Gibbs, who John also writes in here, he also says, no question Gibbs is going to be utilized heavily in Detroit's offense, splitting time with David Montgomery, the speedy wideout. Notice how he called him a wideout. Is going to be utilized out of the backfield a significant time. Gibbs saw a fair share of reps with the first team's offense on day one, signaling the coaching staff's early confidence in the 2023 first-round pick. That's why I said yesterday, who am I most excited for week one? Jahmyr Gibbs, because you know he's going to be featured right away. And you're even seeing those reports, too, about Sam Laporta, and I know you're excited about that because we all are. I mean, Sam Laporta's a dog, man, and I still think he'll be the best tight end, him or Dalton Kincaid, I think. But now these rookies, man, they're rising. And this is in training camp when you expect them to. But Jahmyr Gibbs making noise. Jack Campbell also making noise. You're seeing articles talking about Jack Campbell and how good of a day one he had. Man, rookies are looking good, Sam Flannel. I mean, they really are.
The rookies are certainly looking good, and I know it's early on in training camp, and as Lions fans and as Lions reporters, like which John Macaron is, obviously it's going to be more of a positive slant, but at the same time, a lot of the things that he's saying, I mean, I think it's kind of interesting that he called Jahmyr Gibbs a speedy wideout, because when it comes to Jahmyr Gibbs, I think that his ceiling on this team for his rookie year is to be the no doubt second most important skill position player after Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think he has that kind of capability. I think his ceiling is something like 1,500 all-purpose yards as a rookie. I mean, they drafted him number 12 overall. I mean, I know that I've been on record saying I think Bijan will be better right away, but Jahmyr Gibbs obviously will have a more diverse skill set, and I know we keep saying this, but I think it's very, very important. I know that the Lions just got Denzel Mims to kind of help fill a role, but
Denzel Mims? You see that one-handed snag you made in practice yesterday?
Do you got it?
I can go find it
You
real
go
quick.
grab that because I will play it too.
Okay.
Because Denzel Mims has been making some plays in training camp. Everyone's all excited. So
yes.
And he had some interesting comments too, which was hilarious.
We'll definitely play that in a second. But the reality is that I think if Jahmyr Gibbs becomes even your, oh my God, I can't believe I'm saying this, maybe your number one kind of X receiver in the first 6 weeks.
He won't.
I mean, I understand that, but if he can get some reps on the outside, lining up at wide receiver when Jameson Williams is gone, I mean, would it really shock you if Jahmyr Gibbs maybe has a 70-yard receiving game or two in the first 6 weeks?
No, I think that's
not at all.
Even if J-Mo was healthy, I think that's what the Lions expect out of Gibbs almost on a per-week basis, because when you have David Montgomery, you want 67 rushing yards out of him, and you're going to give Jahmyr probably, if he gets 40 yards, like, you'll be happy with it because you want him to get that 60, 70 in the receiving end. All they're trying to do is equal Jahmyr Gibbs to get 100 yards a game in my eyes, I believe. I think David Montgomery, you take what you can get.
Yeah, I think Jahmyr Gibbs is set up, at least with this receiving core, to lead this team, at least through the first 6 weeks, or be second or third in targets. I think behind Amon-Ra, I mean, I think Jahmyr will be second or third in targets.
Sure.
I do, because besides that, I don't see a guy, or at least anybody with that type of explosive, big playability that you want to get the football to.
Yeah.
And you could even play Jahmyr with David Montgomery. They can both be on the field at the same time.
I mean, I'm about to say they should be at some points.
Mina Kimes even said they're going to do a lot of 21 personnel, and that's what most teams already do. And if you don't know 21 personnel, 2 tight ends, or 2 running backs, 1 tight end. So when you do that, either they're both going to be in the backfield, both alongside Goff, or Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be out probably on a safety or a linebacker, and you'll take that every time, 10 times out of 10, 7-11. always going to be open, and the man has terrific hands, and what he can do after the catch, he's going to embarrass whoever's defending him.
Yeah,
So it's going to be easy money.
IT hips when it comes to Jahmyr Gibbs. He says he's going to be comparable with Deebo Samuel. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I think obviously Jahmyr Gibbs is more of a running back. I think he's going to get a lot more reps carrying the football, and I don't think Jahmyr Gibbs will ever have a receiving season quite the level of 2021 Deebo Samuel. But when it comes to the diverse skill set, I mean, I could definitely see Jahmyr Gibbs leading the NFL amongst running backs and receiving yards a couple of times throughout his career. I don't think it would shock anybody. I think if you're going to be the number 12 overall pick as a running back, I think that should be the expectation, to have a season even which is somewhat of a facsimile of like a great Christian McCaffrey season. I'm not calling for Jahmyr Gibbs to ever have an 1,000 season, but would it really be the most shocking thing in the world? I don't know.
No,
I don't know.
He came into the draft as the best pass-catching back. I think he'll
100%.
leave the draft and flourish in his career as the best pass-catching back in that draft. So
I got that Mims video if you want it real quick.
yeah,
Or do you
you know
wanna
what?
save-
We'll go to break and we'll play it. We'll go to break. We'll play
come
that
out with it.
Denzel Hims video. But before we do that, we got to hear about our friends from Randy
Oh,
Wise.
I don't have that read. We'll move it to later.
All right, we'll move it to later. But right now, we got to hear about our friends over at Planet Fitness.
Absolutely. Planet Fitness is the place where, where I mean,
Show 'em, Flannel.
Hey,
Come on, Flannel.
I worked out last night, so I got a nice pump going. I mean, look at that. Look at that. Just like,
Oh, Jesus.
all right, anywho, Planet Fitness is open
Yo,
to
my
judgment-free
girl's
zone
watching.
where
Chill.
anyone, and we mean anyone, can feel comfortable and work on their fitness goals. We are here to help you build a lasting, active lifestyle. At Planet Fitness, you will experience a squeaky clean gym that has tons of equipment, a full-body workout in just 30 minutes in the 30-minute circuit, and all memberships include fitness training. You get all of this for only $10 a month. Only $10. Yes, they are still only $10 a month. Your fitness is essential, and fitness is a key part of physical and mental wellness, which is why we have invited teens between the ages of 14 and 19 to work out free all summer long with our high school summer pass program. For more information or to join today, visit your local Planet Fitness or planetfitness.com. No matter where you are, there is a Planet Fitness close by. There are more than 50 in Metro Detroit and thousands more throughout the world. It's Planet Fitness.
What is it?
Where your fitness is essential. Oh, yeah.
Go to break.
By now you know me, Christina Gennari, as the obvious choice in real estate. And you know my website, soldchristina.com, as your #1 resource for buying or selling your home. Myself, along with my amazing staff, pride ourselves on making your home buying and selling experience a relaxing and easy one. Come see why we are the obvious choice. Christina Gennari at soldchristina.com, the obvious choice in real estate.
Woodward Avenue, the first paved road in America. Woodward Sports, the first sports network born in Detroit and made for Detroit. The only sports network in Detroit that starts with a W. You know, because we win. Woodward Sports, Detroit's winning sports network.
Welcome back, everybody. It's the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Thank you guys for sticking with us. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget, hit the like button. We'll try to get to 100 likes by the end of this hour. And if you're not watching live, it's all good. You can go back and re-listen to the podcast, Spotify, Apple, no matter what platform you listen to. We'll be there. Leave a 5-star review for the show for Sam and his wonderful flannels. If you're on the website, don't forget, especially now with Lions training camp here, check out the latest news, articles, updates, show clips, and merchandise. Merchandise like JB's rocking over there in the booth.
Let him see it, JB.
Look at that. I mean, come on.
The Lambo
Come
litter
on.
box.
And I'll tell you what, guys. I mean, we got more training camp to get to, and you have the Denzel Hims video, or Mims,
Yeah,
you like to
I'm
call
glad
him
you put
Hims.
some respect on his name.
Let's see it. Okay.
Little one-handed snag here.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. And who is that? Jack Campbell or Rodrigo?
That
on?
looks like
I couldn't see the number. It was quick. But
Let's-
regardless,
let's-
Aaron Anzalone. I don't know who it was.
it might have been Chris Board, to be honest.
It looks
unless-
like Chris Board.
Yeah, I think it was.
What? There was a white dude.
Let's see.
Look at.
Oh,
46.
That was that's a dude out of Saginaw. It's Trevor something. I can't remember his last name. It's like Trevor. But he's a rookie out of Saginaw Valley.
Okay, well, he got cooked. Yeah, and Denzel Hims making plays over at training camp. I know you love that, Lucas. But more than that, Campbell. People are saying Campbell. That's what I thought it was. It was Jack.
Yes, Jack.
It was Jack. Okay, well, Jack. Okay, well. Hopefully,
I stand corrected.
Hopefully, we could just kind of, get rid of that film before week 1.
Here's the thing: if Jack Campbell's ever guarding a 6'3" wide receiver that runs a 4'3", I really hope the receiver would do that to him. Jack Campbell should never be put in that position. Not saying Jack Campbell can't cover, but he should be covering tight ends, not 6'3" wideouts.
No, you can't be covering someone who runs a 4'3", 7, 4'3", But regardless, more news. That came out too is the Lions and Teddy Bridgewater are in talks, and he was in Detroit yesterday. We'll see if they let him leave. But there you have it. The Lions hosted quarterback Teddy Bridgewater on a visit today, per source. That's Ori Mirov, My Sports Update. Guys, Teddy Bridgewater, and we talked about this quarterback room yesterday. Nate Sudfeld, Hendon Hooker. Obviously, we assume would be a redshirt year for Hendon. Even if he's healthy, I don't think he'll play. But you now have a possible better backup quarterback at Teddy Bridgewater. And let's be real here. If Jared Goff goes down, season's over. But if he goes down for a game, having Teddy Bridgewater is what you need.
I mean, he could go down for multiple games, and I think Teddy Bridgewater is the exact type of quarterback to help right the ship. Obviously, if they can get him for the right amount of money, which at this point I think that they could. The Lions have the cap space to do it. I've always been a little bit uncomfortable with the whole idea that if Jared Goff goes down, even for like 5 or 6 or 7 games, we just cancel the season. It's all over. There's nothing we can do about it. We're gonna run it with Nate Sudfeld and hope for the best. If Teddy Bridgewater is there, why not? Because I've got some numbers on Teddy Bridgewater, which kind of prove that he is as perfect of a backup-style quarterback as possible. In Teddy Bridgewater's career, he has started 65 games as 33-32 as a starter. Not great or anything, but serviceable. I mean, if he's going to be your backup, a career touchdown to interception ratio of 75-47. I know a lot of people look back at last year and his time backing up Tua Tagovailoa in Miami. He didn't look so great. He was 0-2. But even a couple of years ago, in 2021 with Denver, he was their starter for 14 games, led them to a 7-7 record as a starter with 18 touchdown passes and 7 interceptions. This was the same Denver Broncos team that Russell Wilson got added to and basically imploded in 2022. So Teddy Bridgewater is solid. And furthermore, I think his most impressive feat as a pro, besides his fraudulent Pro Bowl in 2015, was in 2019 when Drew Brees went down for 5 games.
Yep.
And Teddy Bridgewater took over and was 5-0 as a starter and had a touchdown to interception ratio of 9-2. So the reality is, at this point, Teddy Bridgewater, I think he would be relatively cheap. He is a much better option than Nate Sudfeld. Hendon Hooker is not going to play right away. He's probably not going to be able to play throughout this entire season. I think it would probably be best if he doesn't. So why not take a swing at Teddy Bridgewater? And even if Teddy Bridgewater can even be what he was a couple of years in Denver, Jared Goff could miss a significant amount of time, and maybe it wouldn't completely torpedo their season. I know the reality is most of the time when your backup goes down, you're screwed, but was Dallas screwed when Cooper Rush had to come in last year?
No, they weren't.
They absolutely were not. I mean, were the Philadelphia Eagles screwed when Carson Wentz went down and Nick Foles came in and helped lead them to a Super Bowl?
I mean,
no,
even when Philly lost Hurts this year and they had Minshew, like he held him. I think he won a game. I think
he kept him afloat.
Yeah, but that's all you need, because if a quarterback goes down, most of the time if your starting quarterback goes down, I'm making it up, for example, 4 games. If you can win 1 or 2 of those games while your quarterback comes down, yeah, you'll be behind where you normally at, but you're still in that playoff contention where you're not shooting yourself in the foot like the Jets did last year, where if you don't have a reliable backup, yeah, Mike White was there, but he was basically their starter because Zach Wilson's a 3rd stringer in my eyes. So if he goes down, now you're just down. They started out hot and then they end up missing the playoffs. I understand that that's not a move that you want to see just because you don't want to worry about Jared Goff. We have Hendon Hooker, but it's an essential move that every team, in my opinion, needs. All the contenders have a good backup.
Yeah, the Titans wish they had a better backup last season, man. Like they oh my gosh, some of those games were so close, even with Malik Willis in the lineup. They had who was the Josh Dobbs.
Josh Dobbs.
Like, think about it, and this is why having a backup's like car insurance. You never know you need it till you need it, or insurance in just general, you need it. Now, how much you spend on it is a good question, because I don't think you should spend significant money on a guy that you don't expect to play. But if Teddy's willing to come here, and of course, why wouldn't he? He sees a top 5 offense. He sees the second best offensive line in the league. He sees Amon-Ra St. Brown, the young rookies they have now with Sam Laporta. Like, it's a pretty nice offense. Jameson Williams will be back after 6 weeks. Like, it's intriguing for Teddy, but from the Lions' perspective, and you brought it up, Dan knows Teddy back from his days in New Orleans, and that was really his best, like, backup season, I guess you could say, like how he performed. They were undefeated. They're 5-0 with him in the lineup, 9 touchdowns, like you said, 2 interceptions. I like the move, and as much as people are saying, and I saw a couple comments in the chat saying, well, we have Hendon Hooker. Guys, I'm telling you, I don't think it's ideal that Hendon goes in there his rookie season, has to hold down a 3-4 game stretch or 2 game stretch.
If he gets hurt again, like he's coming off a significant knee injury, why would you want to risk what we believe right now the future at the quarterback position for the Detroit Lions? If Jared Goff goes down, you put in Hendon Hooker gets hurt again, okay, now you really have to worry about Hendon Hooker staying healthy and if he can be anything, because 2 big knee injuries before you even actually start playing is huge.
Well, in more than injuries, confidence is huge. And for Hendon, I know he's 25 and he's more than ready age-wise, but he played in a gimmicky offense at Tennessee, and now he's going to an NFL offense, which I'm sure he's learning on the fly, and he's getting a good grasp of it. But for me personally, Sam, I would much rather this just be a redshirt year for him to learn the NFL, learn the offense, get more comfortable, get healthy. And I know people will say, well, he's 25. Next season he'll be 26. I would be more confident with that scenario. You sign Teddy Bridgewater for 1 year, and then you could get Hendon Hooker more ready and more healthier. I know he'll be healthy for the season, but Teddy Bridgewater's the veteran that you would prefer to hold it down for 2-3 games. A rookie, I would rather bank my money on Teddy, even though last year with the Dolphins it wasn't the greatest showing, but we know what Teddy is for the most part.
But yeah, just a couple of years ago, he was very, very good for the Broncos. And then a few years before that, he had one of the best stretches by a backup quarterback ever, going 5-0 during his time with the Saints, and 9 touchdowns, 2 picks when Drew Brees was out, basically completely riding the ship while he was gone. The reality is, if Teddy Bridgewater, if the Lions could come up with a reasonable 1-year deal, how perfect could that possibly be? Because I think we all agree in this room that Hendon Hooker should not play this year. I don't even know if he would be ready physically at the beginning of the season, and you don't want to throw him in coming off of an ACL injury in a year where you don't expect him to play anyway. Nobody expects him to start. But why not bring in a savvy veteran who... Here's the thing about this offense. I know a lot of people think that it's more Ben Johnson than Jared Goff. I would tend to believe that as of right now, that Jared Goff is a huge benefactor from Ben Johnson's system. So wouldn't that mean that if for some reason Jared Goff goes down, which we are all knocking on wood doesn't happen, wouldn't another guy like Teddy Bridgewater, who's obviously not as good as Jared Goff, but kind of a mid-serviceable, doesn't make mistakes kind of quarterback, couldn't he steer this ship for a few games, maybe even 5 to 7 games if possible?
Yeah, I mean, this offense, at least to me, Sam, and the reason why people would say it's more Ben is it's a very simple offense, but at the same time, it's not all heavily based around the quarterback's play. Mm-hmm. A lot of it's just getting the ball to playmakers, running the football. Like they base everything around the run game. It's not heavily dependent on a quarterback. Like Jared Goff did a good job of taking care of the football, getting the football to the right guys at the right time, on target, on time. But it's not like, this offense is an air raid offense or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like for Teddy Bridgewater, he'll be fine.
I'd rather have Teddy Bridgewater than Jordan Love. That's for damn sure.
Ooh.
Hey, keep Jordan Love. Jordan Love and all of his mistakes over there. Teddy Bridgewater handing the ball off and checking it down to Amon-Ra St. Brown and Sam Laporta. I'll take all day if Jared goes down.
And to this point, too, Eric Allen says Goff did get hurt for 2 to 3 games in his first year here. Remember that Tim Boyle started? And some of those games were
don't get me fucking started on Tim Boyle.
No, I know. Trust me.
I was at that Lions-Browns game. That was miserable.
You were there?
I was there. I had to watch Tim Boyle in like 35-degree weather try to throw a football against Baker Mayfield. And the only highlight of that game was DeAndre Swift, which was a very nice touchdown. But that was a brutal game to watch. Ooh. Tim Boyle should never step foot on the NFL field ever again.
But those are the type of games where you need a serviceable backup, because that game was pretty damn winnable. It was ugly.
Yeah. That game was ugly. And to Sam's point, that kind of shows why you need. I mean, if they had Teddy in that game, they probably would have won that game.
He was going up against Baker.
Right.
Baker.
And again, for people saying, like, why are you talking about a backup quarterback? You don't know you need a backup till you need one. Like, and that's why I brought up Tennessee. Like, Tennessee didn't really have a plan at backup, and they had to throw in their rookie, Malik Willis. And I think Hendon's obviously better than Malik Willis. But still, Malik looked awful. And look at the confidence that it kind of shattered him as well. Didn't really do much after that. So we'll see. But I would much rather put my, bank on Teddy Bridgewater getting me, through a 3-game stretch, keeping us afloat, being 2-1 through 3 games, than a Hendon Hooker. Even though I love Hendon, I just would much rather put the veteran in that position, especially with playoff aspirations, bigger expectations.
I mean, and look at Tennessee, even this past year's Tennessee versus, I believe it was 2019 Tennessee, when Ryan Tannehill kind of flamed out with Miami, he went to Tennessee as Marcus Mariota's backup. Marcus Mariota didn't lose his job due to injury. He lost it due to poor play, but still, they had a guy waiting in the wings like Ryan Tannehill, who, say what you want about him, has been serviceable during his time with Tennessee. He's, for the most part, ridden Derrick Henry to success, but still, Ryan Tannehill, when they've been at their best, he at the very least hasn't turned the ball over. He's been smart with the football. I believe in 2020 he had 33 touchdowns, 7 picks, in the same year that Derrick Henry had over 2,000 yards.
Right.
So it makes your job easier, but still, look at their backup situation then versus their backup situation last year, where a lot of people, I don't know if I necessarily agree with this. If the Titans had a competent backup last year, they might have actually still won the division. It took a Tennessee implosion for Jacksonville to be able to get hot and obviously win the division. But that's what happens when you have Josh Dobbs and Malik Willis.
Well, they got Josh Dobbs right off the practice squad, and they went into war against Dallas.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Dobbs, he was on a couple of teams before that season. They were just like, fuck it, we'll take this guy for the week, I guess. Like, let's try to make something do.
Right.
But, oh, my.
All right, so I'll tell you what.
I can't stand the Titans.
Yeah, no, I can't either. Love Vrabel, though.
Yeah, I'm a Vrabel guy. It's just the Titans are just like, it's like boring.
I agree with you.
Well, yeah,
they're just
that's
like
fair.
blue collar as hell, and just like, you know what you're gonna get every year. They're never gonna win anything. You're boring.
Well, speaking of boring, I'll tell you what's not boring. Our friends over at Randy Wise, Lucas.
Oh yeah, they are. Okay, well here we go with the Randy Wise read. All right, people. How would you like to see famous athletes like Jim Harbaugh, Darren McCarty, and Braylon Edwards play golf with average Joes? Well, thanks to Randy Wise Automotive and Woodward Sports, you will be able to do just that. It is the Randy Wise Celebrity Golf Tour. Make the wise choice and pay attention to Woodward Sports for more information soon.
The sports marketing agency would not be who we are without great community partners like Higuera Health and Carol Zaniga.
It's an awesome opportunity to partner with your organization. Higuera Health is a comprehensive behavioral health organization. We serve children through older adults with mental health, substance use, and developmental disabilities across Western Wayne counties, and really excited to now be in downriver communities as well. Give us a call at 734-458-4601.
We are the network for Detroit by Detroiters. Welcome to the Woodward Sports Network. Woodward Avenue, the first paved road in America. Woodward Sports, the first sports network born in Detroit and made for Detroit.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. I'm Jeff Iafrate, Sam Flannel joining me as well. We got JB, we got Lucas Klotz. Gabby is over at Allen Park today covering the Detroit Lions for Woodward Sports. But I want to continue this conversation, just Lions talk in general. And I saw this yesterday, and I'm going to get everyone else's thoughts on this. And this was USA Today, and they did projected records for teams around the NFL, and this was written by Nate Davis. And, he covered every single team. And if you have the graphic, we throw that up first, and then we'll get to the Lions. But there's just, in general, all the teams in the NFL. And some things that stick out to me is the Chiefs 10-7. And then the Raiders 3-14.
Jesus.
What's interesting too? The AFC North and how every team won at least 10 games.
All right, they're the greatest division in NFL history, apparently.
I guess so. No doubt about that. But the AFC West, I actually kind of agree with. NFC West, excuse me. I like that. NFC North, I think that's actually fair. NFC South, I think that's fair as well.
That's just a toss-up outside the box.
Yeah,
Anybody can win that outside the box.
Exactly. And then the NFC East, Cowboys are not going 9-8. I will say that. I think they're going to win 11, 12 games again. So Yeah, 9-8's fair. Okay, AFC East. Bills win that division. Sam Flannel's Aaron Rodgers-led Jets 12-5, second in that division. I think that'll go
It's a
right
fever
around
dream right there.
I
More
think
like 9-8, Flannel. Missing the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers retires. Robert Saleh fired. You have that, and then your Chiefs going 10-7. Lions have a better record than both.
10-7 with the Chiefs. That's a pipe dream at this point. The same record as the Broncos.
What if I told you the Lions would win more games than the Chiefs this season? You'd call me crazy, Sam.
I would probably call
But
you
Nate
crazy.
Davis believes.
The Monstars.
They are the Monstars until they get knocked off the perch. They are absolutely.
Yeah! Right on cue, man. JB always
love it,
comes in
JB.
clutch. But there you have it. That's all the records in the NFL. Now I want to specifically focus on the Lions because what's great about the record predictions that Nate Davis did is he didn't just do regular season predictions. He also did playoffs. And it will throw up the description if you have it, Lucas, for the season, not the playoffs, the season.
Okay.
We'll throw that up first. We'll get to the playoffs because you guys are going to want to see what they do in the playoffs. But here's the season. NFC North, Detroit Lions, 11-6. Only a tiebreaker, a Week 4 loss to Seattle, kept them out of the playoffs last season. When the Lions won 8 of their final 10 games to take the next step forward, Detroit will need to avoid another slow start under third-year head coach Dan Campbell. That's fair. Actually, very true as well. A task obviously made more challenging with an opening night date at Kansas City, but the guess here is that a revamped secondary, part of a defense that ranked last overall in 2022, an opposing offensive line, first-round running back Jahmyr Gibbs, and a boost from second-year wide receiver Jameson Williams, quote, or in parentheses, after his 6-game gambling suspension ends, will give this club its first division title since 1993. Now that right there,
That's
Nate
called
Davis,
bars.
is how you predict it.
You don't know nothing about that.
No, you don't. You don't. And for the Lions, I had them at 11-6. Sam, we haven't really done record predictions, but how many wins you got?
I actually have them at 11-6
okay,
as well.
11-6. So I think that's fair. And I don't think anybody would have any disagreements about that. But here's the playoff predictions.
Now this one's something.
This word gets spicy, to say the least. Now, NFC playoffs, and Nate Davis went through it in the results. Wild card, 49ers defeat the Falcons. Lions, 3, the 3rd seed, defeat the Cowboys.
Wow, that's
seed.
the dream matchup for me in the playoffs. I want to see the Cowboys round
Oh,
one.
you know what I would love to hear from the Dak Prescott supporters in that game. I would love Sam Flannel to pull out the stats from that game after the Lions whoop that ass, Sam Flannel. That's what I need from you.
Come on.
Now, in all seriousness, now Seahawks take down the Saints, which actually I'm not surprised. Seahawks,
okay.
I think Seahawks are going to be really good this year. Divisional round. Okay, this is where and you know me. Yesterday I talked about this. I think a playoff win. We kind of cleared it up. I didn't think it was their ceiling, but if I had to bank on it, I think a playoff win's good enough for me. Whatever happens after that, cool. They have the Lions defeating the 49ers.
I live for this shit. When have you ever seen this anywhere?
Wow.
It's a different culture in Detroit, baby.
No, you've never seen this.
The Lions going into San Fran. Dan Campbell looking Kyle Shanahan straight in his eyes and said, I don't give a fuck what type of offense you're running. Here comes Rodrigo straight up the A-gas.
I like how you mentioned Rodrigo.
Laying the boom.
They have to throw Trey Lance in there, please. Please do it.
Yeah.
He's going to hurt Purdy. Darnold's going to be seeing ghosts, throwing Trey Lance. He'll lose it for him.
Oh, Darnold's seeing ghosts now.
He will against Aaron Glenn in that secondary.
Oh, okay. I thought you said he'd win MVP.
Yeah, he'll look like an MVP candidate until that game.
Oh, gotcha. Now, this is what is great for this, is the Lions beat the Cowboys. Talk about revenge after that missed Pettigrew PI call. I mean, how ironic now with Dan Campbell, you go beat the Cowboys. You beat the 49ers, which that would be an away game, too.
Yes.
Like, you're going to San Francisco and beating the 49ers. I'm telling you right now, if this happens, my goodness. My goodness. Boys, keep it together, all right?
I mean, me and JB both got distracted.
Trust me. Yeah. The Lions defeat the 49ers. So that is already hard enough to digest there. Eagles defeat the Seahawks. I think that's expected. NFC Championship game. My gosh, I can't believe I'm talking about this. The Eagles defeat the Lions, and that's also a road game. Obviously, you go to Philly there. Guys, and I want to get everyone's thoughts on this. People in the chat, I'm going to read some comments. Feel free to chime in. You buying this? You buying this, Sam Flannel?
I don't necessarily know if I'm buying the Lions going into San Francisco. I believe it's actually Santa Clara now, and beating the 49ers. Am I buying that necessarily? I would, if I was a betting man, I would probably say no. But here's the thing about the San Francisco 49ers under Kyle Shanahan. I know last year we look at it as a one-off because obviously the 49ers got to the point where there was no quarterback at the end. They literally injured Brock Purdy and then Josh Johnson, and they had Christian McCaffrey playing quarterback at some point. But there are a couple other examples when it comes to a Kyle Shanahan-led 49er team where him not having a good quarterback actually cost them in those big games. In the 2021 NFC Championship game where they lost to Matthew Stafford-led Rams, I believe they only scored 17 points. And even in that Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs, when it ended, one of the reasons it ended is because Jimmy Garoppolo missed an open Emmanuel Sanders, which would have been the go-ahead touchdown.
Worst throw in Super Bowl history.
I mean,
it is worst throw in Super Bowl history.
It's up there.
I mean, it's up there with the worst drop and Brandon Cooks drop and Jared Goff's dot in the Super Bowl, but
But that's the thing. And this year, the 49ers are looking at maybe Brock Purdy if he can recover from his elbow injury, Sam Darnold, Trey Lance. It's going to be another one of those situations where the 49ers are led more by the system than the quarterback. Do I think in an NFC Championship game that it could cost them, that maybe one of them goes down, maybe when the stage is too bright where the 49ers system can't carry them, that Sam Darnold or Brock Purdy is liable to make a couple of mistakes? Aiden Hutchinson maybe gets in his grill and knocks him around a little bit. Maybe James Houston coming off the other end. And the reality is, too, when it comes to the Lions going into San Francisco, they would have the quarterback advantage.
That's true.
They would have a coordinator. I don't think that Ben Johnson is as good of an offensive mind as Kyle Shanahan yet, but he is certainly on that trajectory. And if the Lions are in the NFC Championship, I think it would assume that their defense takes that leap, which we all expect that they could possibly make. And think about this. Think about this, Lucas.
I'll ponder it.
You're going to be happy about this. Just imagine this. Just imagine this. In San Francisco in the NFC Championship game, if Aiden Hutchinson hurries, let's go with Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy throws a ball before he is ready, and guess who picks it off?
CJ fucking Gardner-Johnson.
All of those scenarios that I'm mentioning, I know that I kind of sound like a little bit of a slappy, but I don't care. It is plausible because when have the 49ers, I'm missing the Super Bowls they've been racking up with Kyle Shanahan. I'm not saying Kyle Shanahan's not a great coach, but when they've gotten into some of those bigger games, their lack of quarterback has cost them. It just has.
Yes.
You're completely spot on, Flannel.
Yes.
Now, my question, though, you said they'd have the quarterback advantage in the divisional round when they face the 49ers. What other advantage will they have? Okay.
Secondary. I would give them. When J-Mo comes back, I'm taking J-Mo and Amon-Ra over Debo and Brandon Ayuk. I mean,
but
you know what I think about Samuel Laporta. We know what I think about Laporta, but I'll still give it Kittle.
But it's close. It's close. You can't
close.
lie. Like Debo and Brandon Ayuk and Amon-Ra and Jameson, who we really haven't seen play. And trust me, I'm with you. I think J-Mo will be a damn good receiver. But it's close. Offensive line, it's close. Defensive line, it's not close.
Right.
And then you get to linebackers, it ain't close.
But it wasn't. It was even further apart 2 seasons ago, week 1.
True. Very
and
true.
You know what those dogs in Detroit did? They fought him. They fought him hard, and it was still Kyle Shanahan over there.
And I'm not trying to poo-poo on it, but I'm just being realistic here.
You're being scared.
You know,
Jeff's being scared. Drop scared in the chat for Jeff.
I'm more scared than stoked at this moment because I'll tell you this, and I'll let Lucas and JB take it away here. Beating the Cowboys, I think, is fine. I think that you could do that. That's possible. Very possible. Now, the 49ers and the Eagles, now they have them losing. Nate has them losing to the Eagles, which I think is fair. But beating the 49ers, that's where I have a hard time seeing it. But Lucas, what do you think?
I'm in on it. Any team on any day can win any ball game. When you got Ben Johnson, this roster, Dan Campbell, they're going to be a high seed in the playoffs. I think they're going to be number 3 as well. I hope to God we see the playoffs or the Cowboys week 1 in the playoffs. Scoot them out of there, send them right back where they belong. Bring on Kyle Shanahan, the boys. We'll go into San Fran. We'll lay the wood, and we'll go into Philly. I like the matchup against Philly even more, to be honest. So I'm not worried about it at all. I've said it once, I'll say it twice, I'll say it 3 times. If everything pans out for the Detroit Lions, their path is to the Super Bowl. Now, give it another year, and I think it's even closer to that. So We've seen this team peak what we didn't think they could do last year. Why can't they peak again and surprise us again?
What about you, JB? What do you think? Is it crazy to say? Oh, I can't believe I'm asking JB. This man's got money on us. Okay, you know what? I'll reframe the question. The path they have to the NFC Championship, is that viable? Cowboys beating the 49ers, and they don't have the scores, but assuming they play a close one against the Eagles. What do you think about that?
Like I said, USA Today has everything correct except for the NFC Championship game, the results. The Lions will beat the Philadelphia Eagles off the back of CJ somehow, some way. I'm just telling you right now.
I should have known better.
I'm foreshadowing this for everyone. The Lions will beat the Eagles in the NFC Championship game, and I will cash 3 bets. Super Bowl, NFC Championship game, and divisional winners.
JB's going to be high rolling.
Yeah.
Hit him high, hit him high. Hit him low, hit him low.
And people are chiming in.
Yeah, it's going to be JB. Look at him.
Happy Camper Harry says Lions win 49-14 over the 49ers.
All right,
If that happens, my goodness, the show
Jared
would
Goff
have.
is never leaving the city if that happens.
No, well, Lucian's chiming in. We going to the bowl and Goff's getting extended, guys. I mean, I love it. Kool-Aid's all over the place. Let's see. Justin Station says Lions will have a team that will be able to compete with anyone. Booner says we can beat the 49ers, Eagles, and Cowboys. Shout out to Booner. Answer 14 says, come on, Jeff, get on the winning team here. Jesse Adams says, you are being realistic, not a homer, Jeff. See, I appreciate that, Jesse. Booner also says it's the NFL. You have a chance to win every game. Yeah, that's fair, but if you know the Lions' history, Booner, they've had a lot of chances to win a lot of games.
Well, this ain't the same old Lions,
I
Jeff.
know.
This is not the same old Lions.
But I'm trying to say why, at least explain why I'm hesitant.
I get it. But this isn't the year to do that. This is the year to believe. We have football god Brad Holmes. Believe in him. Believe.
Oh, trust me. My faith will not waver with Brad Holmes. I believe in Brad. Now, the only question I have is with this many young players, that's
a young man's game.
I understand that, but at the same time, it just you're facing the Eagles and the 49ers who, and again, they haven't losing the Eagles, but the 49ers who are a majority of veteran team. Like, they've been in the trenches. They've been in deep playoff runs. And for me to just expect the Lions to go out there and whoop ass, like, it's a little, it's not, it doesn't always happen like that. But I do think it's not going to be a blowout. I don't think the 49ers would destroy the Lions.
They got to be dead.
They'll have a chance to win. I agree. I just don't know if it'll go their way at the end.
Well, remember, Jeff, and I said it before, that I'm not completely discounting the San Francisco 49ers. It would be a tough matchup. But at this point in Kyle Shanahan's coaching tenure with the San Francisco 49ers, there are a couple things that are true in life. Death, taxes, the 49ers fall short in the biggest games with mid-quarterbacks. That's what has happened at this point.
Now, I'll tell you what, we'll go to break when we get back.
Roasted.
I want to bring up Amon-Ra St. Brown because that man was running some deep routes in training camp, and I'm excited to see his development. But before we do that, I got to tell you about our friends over at Dispo because, guys, we'll be there this Friday. You're going to want to be there. It's going to be a party at Dispo at the Romeo location. This Friday, July 28th, for all 4 of our shows here from Woodward Sports. We'll be there from 8 a.m. when we start to 7 p.m. when the heavyweights end. Brace yourselves for an unforgettable journey at the pinnacle of the cannabis experience located at 100 Schaefer Drive, Romeo, Michigan. Pull up in re-up with us. Dispo has over 12 locations with their new location at Whitmore Lake now open. You see it on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. Those are their locations. Please go check out Dispo because, again, they're the best, and they're also your local cannabis plug. They'll have DJs and everything. Come hang with us Friday.
We getting high all day Friday.
Big Boy Strawberry Fest has officially arrived, and we're here to show you the very best flavors of the season. Satisfy your sweet tooth with our deep-fried vanilla Oreos, strawberry hot fudge cake, and a slice of our classic strawberry pie. But that's not all. Cool off on a refreshing summer splash salad, or savor the flavors of our chicken Caesar wrap and strawberry bacon chicken wrap. And for breakfast lovers, don't miss out on our strawberry hotcakes or our mouth-watering red velvet waffle. Strawberry Fest is something for everyone. Celebrate the sweet season with us at Big Boy.
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side. Woodward Sports.
Your childhood may be over, but certainly playtime is not. Outdoor Equipment Company is your source for outdoor power equipment sales, service, and parts, carrying top brands such as Bad Boy, LS Tractor, Still, and much more. Servicing the Great Lakes regions with locations in Metro Detroit and Greater Lansing. For more information, visit them at OutdoorEquipCo.com. Outdoor Equip Co., your power equipment playground. We're back here. It's the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Again, guys, if you're watching live on YouTube, don't forget, hit the like button. We're going to try to get to 100 likes by the end of this segment. And if you can't watch live, you can always go back and re-listen to the podcast. Morning Woodward Show, Apple, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcast. Leave a 5-star review. If you're on the website, don't forget, check out our merchandise, articles, updates, show clips. It has everything on the website. You can also tune into our live shows from there as well. Amon-Ra St. Brown. I feel like you can't talk enough about the guy. He's a stud. There's a video now on our social media as well as Detroit Lions social media, and that's Amon-Ra doing the one-hand catches after practice. And now you see him running deep routes. And this is something that he's talked about implementing in his game as well. Guys, it's a scary season for Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's one of the best up-and-coming wide receivers. The guy catches everything that's thrown his way, tied for the NFL in NFL history for receiver through his first 2 seasons for the most receptions. Sam, when you see a clip like this, what do you think?
Oh, man. I see that the sky is the limit for Amon-Ra St. Brown, because when we talk about him potentially getting better, we first have to start out with how good he already is. Last season, Amon-Ra St. Brown was one of 8 players in the NFL to have over 100 receptions and over 1,000 receiving yards, something that A.J. Brown, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, Terry McLaurin, Amari Cooper, Mike Evans, Garrett Wilson, DK Metcalf, and Jamar Chase didn't do. Those are some big names, some names that a certain list had above Amon-Ra St. Brown. They're wrong with all of them for the exception of Jamar Chase and A.J. Brown, of course. But still, if Amon-Ra St. Brown can add more of a deep threat element to his game, then the ceiling for Amon-Ra St. Brown is multiple-time first-team All-Pro. The ceiling for Amon-Ra St. Brown is to become the single most productive wide receiver in Detroit Lions history. I know that's a bit of a stretch at this point.
You think over Calvin?
Okay,
and I'm asking. I'm not like throwing shots at you. Like,
no,
I'm genuinely asking.
I 100% get that, and I love Calvin Johnson. I respect the hell out of him. He is one of the greatest wide receivers to ever play NFL football, but I think that Amon-Ra St. Brown will beat him in receptions at some point. Calvin Johnson has 731. Amon-Ra St. Brown has 196 through his first 2 seasons. Jesus. And the one thing where Amon-Ra St. Brown, I would say, is lacking in the stat department is yards per catch. His rookie year, he had about 10. His second year, he had 11. But if he can add that deep threat element, which, if you saw PFF rankings, he was #1 amongst all wide receivers in man coverage. You saw that route running ability. He obviously runs crisp, pristine routes. At this point, it's just the natural progression into him being one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. And at that point, I think his receiving yards go up. Instead of having like 1,100, he could get to 13 or 1,400 on similar receptions. And we also have to remember last year that he only played in 16 games, and I believe he was very, very limited in another one.
Yeah, the Cowboys game.
Yeah,
he got hurt after his a 4-yard catch. He got a concussion.
Absolutely, that was you're exactly right. So if Amon-Ra St. Brown can add more of a deep threat, let's just talk about next year. It wouldn't shock me at all if he's second-team All-Pro. Actually, if he can effectively run the deep routes and get more targets, especially in the first 6 weeks when Jared Goff isn't going to have Jamison Williams at his disposal, I think that second-team All-Pro is a very, very realistic expectation for Amon-Ra St. Brown next year. And then in the years to come, he could even make some first-team All-Pros. And eventually, like I said, I think he could have more receptions as a Lion than Calvin Johnson. And I think he could even challenge receiving yards, which Calvin Johnson has 11,619. If Amon-Ra St. Brown continues on this trajectory, I don't think I'm crazy.
It could be close.
It could be close,
I think the production could be very similar. I just think, obviously, talent it goes to Calvin, but
yes,
the common saying is, it's not that Calvin didn't work hard, but when talent doesn't use hard work beats talent. So, that's the classic saying with it.
Yeah, hard work beats it when talent doesn't work hard.
Yeah, I don't see – it's not a far off comparison, final.
But here's the thing that's interesting about Amon-Ra, and I say that hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard, but what if you're talented and you work hard?
That's what I'm saying. But
that's what Amon-Ra St. Brown is, man.
Yeah.
He's
very good point.
He's uber talented and he works his tail off, which that's the part of this why when I bring up Amon-Ra, I don't put a ceiling on the man. because he really does have supreme work ethic. Like, one of the hardest working guys, I think, in the NFL, like, point blank. Not receivers, hardest working guys, period. What does he catch? 201 balls.
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
After practice, because he heard somebody else was catching 200, so he catches one more football than them.
Yeah.
Like, it's the mind games this man has. And you talk about his development. He comes out. He ran like a 4.6 at the combine. I think he ran like a 4.5 at his pro day. Not a blazer by any means. But then you see clips, like against the Commanders last season, where he had that end around. And by the way, guys, for people who forget, for that play, the end around against the Commanders, you know how fast he ran? 21 miles per hour, almost 22. Ooh. You know where that ranks? 6th fastest by any offensive NFL player last season at the time. So for a guy who's not a burner.
That's why I hate fucking 40 times. And like, just when you judge a player's athleticism off the combine, because there's such thing as just raw speed, which is what you see at the combine, and then there's football speed, where you know how to manipulate your leverage, even when nobody's around you, where you can create separation, which lets you build your speed. That's why I think you hit it spot on, Jeff. Amon-Ra has no ceiling in football because he's such a football head, and he knows how to develop his game even when it doesn't need to be developed. He doesn't need to develop his route running much more. He really doesn't. He has already some of the best hands in the league. Does he need to develop them more? No, but he still does because he's consistent, and he's going to keep getting better. So right off the bat, they haven't been running them on deep routes like Flannel said, but now they're going to start opening it up. And what do you think Amon-Ra is going to start doing every day now? Running deep routes.
Yes.
Figure out how to bring that football speed and start running post routes and corner routes and 15-yard hitches instead of 10-yard hitches, so we can get more yards after the catch and turn them into more big plays, especially when J-Mo's out.
Yeah, and it's not all just getting open deep is speed, but also it's route running.
Yeah,
and he has damn good route running.
It's all mental. Like, if you look at Devontae Adams, he's nothing close to a burner, but he makes every route off the line of scrimmage look the exact same.
Yes.
So you have no clue what he is doing, and the whole time he's doing that, he's manipulating your body, which you don't even realize is happening, and setting you up so he can go the other way and you're not even touching him. So now he's the fastest man on the field because he's not getting touched like he's supposed to be. Pause.
And the other thing pause on that. But the other thing that Amon-Ra St. Brown, I'm excited for his development is yards after catch, because the guy already averages about 10 yards per catch. Like, he's reliant. You can depend on him. But the other part of that is yak, which he's getting better at as well. So if you're adding his ability to run deep routes and kind of stretch the field, but also yards after catch improves, like we're talking again, like I predict he'll have, is about 1,400 yards this season.
1,400.
Yeah, I do, because he had almost 1,200, I think,
Yeah.
last season. Give him 200 more without J-Mo, and he's getting better. And now it's pretty much known. Last season it was known, but now it's solidified. Amon-Ra's the dude. And there's no T.J. Hockenson to take targets away. So I think he'll go for 1,400 this year. I think that'll be good enough for an All-Pro.
Yeah, 1,400 will definitely be good enough for an All-Pro, especially when it comes to Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think it will accompany with like 115 to 120 catches.
Oh,
which,
yeah.
I mean, that will be an elite season. But he's one of the guys, and I hate to use this as a cliche, Amon-Ra St. Brown is the type of guy that you do not bet against when it comes to hitting his ceiling, because... And I know that sounds a little bit premature, but this is the Detroit Lions and their history that we're talking about. I have never seen a player for the Detroit Lions get more out of their talent than Amon-Ra St. Brown has so far. And Amon-Ra St. Brown is talented. He's not some try-hard guy. He's very, very talented. I mean, we look at the 40 time, and when you look at him on the field, it just doesn't compute because the man just has football speed.
Exactly.
I mean, you see it. He's not some slow-footed guy. He is one of the more talented up-and-coming receivers, but he gets every single ounce out of it. Jeff, I see you making a face.
Well, I just read a comment. I'm sorry, Sam. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
You're
But
good.
Jeff Olson says, hard to be an all-pro wide receiver with a game manager at quarterback. You want me to name like multiple wide receivers?
Obviously having a Joe Burrow is fine, but when you're a game manager quarterback and you have a system around you, usually that system is like built around feeding your receiver, your number one wide receiver, which is Amon-Ra St. Brown, which the system is clearly dependent on, or handing it to your number one running back. That's what Jared Goff is going to be doing all year, and he's a great quarterback, but it's not like Jared Goff is throwing Amon-Ra St. Brown open.
No,
Ben Johnson is scheming Amon-Ra St. Brown open because Amon-Ra St. Brown is a hell of a receiver, and what he can do with it after the catch is amazing. So, no, it has nothing to do with Jared Goff here, and it's not a diss to Jared Goff either.
No, like game manager, like Deebo Samuel made it all-pro.
Yes.
Like Jimmy Garoppolo is his quarterback. I mean, want me to keep going? I mean, we could keep bringing
Justin
this up.
Jefferson this year was
With Kirk!
with Devontae Adams, with Derek Carr. Like, literally most of the outside of Stephon Diggs and Jamar Chases of the world, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle down in Miami with Tua both had 1,000-yard receivers.
Yeah, he'll be all right.
Let me end this guy's argument in the easiest way possible because you guys just did a great job. Justin Jefferson has gotten off to the greatest start in the history of NFL wide receivers with over 4,800 receiving yards in his first 3 seasons with Kirk Cousins as his quarterback. And I think we would all agree that at least right now, Jared Goff is better than Kirk Cousins. If Justin Jefferson can do it with Kirk Cousins, then a game-managing quarterback is certainly not the problem.
And Benji, shout out to Benji, by the way, my man, joining the chat once again. He says Goff compliments St. Brown. I think that's perfectly said. He says blanket. So it's not just can Goff compliment St. Brown, which he can. The man, again, tied for the most receptions in NFL history through his first 2 seasons. Who was that quarterback?
Jared Goff.
Like, dude, what are we doing here?
And he doesn't drop. Like, he has some of the best hands in the league. I mean, that catch he had against Green Bay in the last week of the season where he caught it under his ass, I know you think that's fluky, but just the wherewithal to be like, okay, this ball has not hit my hand yet. I still need to find. Like, most receivers can't do that or are not willing to do that, and that comes from catching 200 balls every day after practice. All that adds up, and that's exactly what Amon-Ra St. Brown is. He's one of the most fluid receivers in the game right now.
Now, Public Enemy has something to say about your comments, Lucas. He says, so are you guys saying Andy Reid doesn't scheme players open, but only Ben Johnson does? No, that's not what Lucas is saying.
No, I'm saying Ben Johnson schemes Amon-Ra St. Brown open, just like he schemes Travis Kelce open. Every good offensive mind schemes their best player open. Yes, Justin Jefferson is very good, but Kevin O'Connell schemes him open, so he's even better. Sean McVay, Cooper Kupp is very good, but he schemes him open, so Cooper Kupp is even better. That's what good coaches do. You make your players better.
No question. And Ben can do that, certainly. And Jared Goff's good enough to get him his production. I agree with that because, again, maybe with J-Mo you'd have concerns because J-Mo's a deep threat guy and you like a dude who can hit him. And Jared, at least the rapport with him and Jameson isn't there yet. Maybe it can get there. But Amon-Ra, I mean, he pretty much at all 3 levels. I know the deep threat he's working on, but intermediate, short routes, like that's Goff's bread and butter. That's Amon-Ra's bread and butter. It's a perfect match, in my opinion. Jeff Olson chiming in again. He says receptions are fine, but part of that is the little dump-offs because Goff can't push the ball down the field very well. Kirk Cousins is mid, but he's a different type of mid than Goff. Is there like sections of mid? Like they're all.
One just happened to play in a Super Bowl and doesn't really choke when he gets in the playoffs and can win on primetime games, unlike Kirk Cousins, who hasn't really won anything outside of in Washington in big games. So I'll take Jared Goff, who knows how to hold his nuts in big games.
And I would love to see the yards per attempt for both Jared and Kirk Cousins. I think that would be an interesting statistic to look at.
And let's also keep in mind he had Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Delvin Cook, and now he has T.J. Hawkinson. He has way more vertical threats, even in the running game or the running backs for the receivers. So it just the style, the schemes and style are completely different.
Yeah, I mean, even if you look at yards gained per pass attempt, Jared this season was 7.6, Kirk was 7.1. So it's not, again, I'm not trying to make it is what it is. They're right around the same category. Whatever. We'll go to break when we get back. Aleem McNeil, my gosh. Man lost 20 pounds, has a less percentage of body fat, and he says he's still just as strong.
Dude's a stallion.
I mean, we talked about this defensive line yesterday and that defensive tackle position. Maybe it won't be as much of a weakness if Aleem McNeil can show up to the party and have an even bigger breakout season. We shall see. But before we do that, I got to tell you about our friends over at SMA, because the sports marketing agency helps spread awareness about mental health and substance abuse. Their new podcast, This is the S Word, helps fight the stigma about seeking help. If you or someone you know is struggling, tell them or even yourself to head to thesportsma.com for more information.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
Detroit sports teams live on Woodward. All of Detroit's sports coverage lives on Woodward Sports. Driving the best in Detroit sports coverage.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Thanks for sticking with us. We're cruising through the second hour of the show. If you guys haven't already, hit the like button. I know we got plenty of people chiming in, but don't forget, support the show, support the boys, hit the like button. And also, if you missed the show, you can go back and re-listen on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Morning Woodward Show, leave a 5-star review, and we'll really appreciate that very much. Now, I want to get to the Aleem McNeil discussion because do you have the video?
Yep.
All right, this is Aleem McNeil talking about his loss of weight this offseason.
Diet and kind of change your body. Just how do you feel that went for you since the last time we talked to you, and how you feeling now?
I feel like it went really good. Last time I was at a podium, I was about 327. I'm 305 now, so I feel a lot better, a lot lighter and faster on the field. So, and I still have the same strength, so I feel really good.
Well, there you have it. He says he feels lighter, but still has the same strength. He was 327. Now he weighs in at like a little over 300 pounds. But for someone like Aleem McNeil, I know that the biggest draw to him was his size. Like, he's 327, 6'2". So, again, a guy who can be a menace in the run game. But you heard him, Sam Flannel, quicker, faster, can get off the line quicker, can be more of a pass rusher, which is something that we, didn't really expect out of Aleem McNeil initially, but he kind of showed flashes last season. What do you think about Aleem McNeil? What's the ceiling on this man? Can he be an even better pass rusher than he already is?
I mean, he most certainly can be a better pass rusher than he already has been, because at this point in his career, he hasn't really been that effective of one. I believe he's had, 3 sacks in 2 seasons? I think that I got the number right, but that's not really enough, at least if you want to be...
Because right now, I think we can agree Aleem's production isn't measured on all statistics,
sure,
maybe tackle for losses. But
100%. But I think with Aleem McNeil, there is nothing negative about him losing some weight and being more agile. Because at this point, if I want a defensive lineman for my team, if I want a defensive tackle who's going to be one of your stalwart players, I don't want a guy who's like a Vince Wilfork, just this big mountain of man who just kind of clogs up space and clogs up running lanes. I want somebody who can rush the passer. I want somebody who can get off blocks. I want somebody who can create penetration in the backfield and actually get or create tackles for loss for other defensive players. And I've been on record saying on this show, on Big D Energy, on any show that basically lets me have a voice, that I think Aleem McNeil has a breakout season. I am, you know what? I'll just call for it right now. I'm calling for 5 sacks and 10 tackles for loss.
Ooh,
I think
that's what we like, Flannel.
I mean, that's really not that outside the realm of possibility. I expect him to have at least 2 or 3 games that were as dominant as he had in that game at New York with the Giants, because what that game showed me is he is capable in short spurts, albeit that, of being a dominant defensive player. And that also was the game in which the Lions completely choked the life out of Saquon Barkley.
They bust that ass.
They did bust that ass, because Saquon Barkley at that time was the best running back in the NFL. I think he might have even been leading the NFL in rushing. And then
scrimmage yards, just completely. Like, he was the dominant back at the time.
He was dominant, but I don't even know if Saquon Barkley had 2 yards per carry in that game. If he did, he was slightly over it, because he was shut the F down. And Aleem McNeil was the best player on the field in that game. So with losing some weight, maybe getting that body percentage down, getting some more quickness, some get up, and also it'll allow him, I think, to be on the field for more snaps, because when you're a 327-pound man, you get tired more easy. I am absolutely thrilled with this development from Aleem McNeil, because I think Aleem McNeil will take that step into being the leader of the interior defensive line. He will be the guy that kind of stands out from the pack. He's going to be more than just a rotational piece. He will be knocking on the door. I'm not saying he'll get there, but he will be knocking on the door if maybe I'm trying to think of an NFC guy. If Aaron Donald or somebody gets hurt, maybe Aleem McNeil will replace him on the Pro Bowl roster. I mean, I'm not necessarily calling for it, but I think he'll be knocking on
Pro Bowl
alternate. It wouldn't shock me.
You even see Brandon Stanley chiming in. His new name is Lean McNeil.
Yes.
And then you're getting Night Watchman say Aileen McNeil. I love that, by the way. The other thing, too, and the question I have is Nick Fairley's 2013 season, because I was kind of comparing statistics, and Nick Fairley, as high as he was drafted, at least didn't work out longevity-wise. But Nick Fairley's 2013 season, 15 games started, 2 forced fumbles, 6 sacks,
he was a dog
and 9 tackle for losses, 19 quarterback hits. That's something similar I could see out of Aleem this year. You said 5 sacks. Nick Fairley had 6. He had almost 10 tackle for losses. I could see that with Aleem. He also had a safety that season. But that type of production, and now, Nick Fairley was 4 inches bigger. I mean, 6'5", but also he was a little lighter. He was 291. Aleem McNeil right now is a little over 300. So if you talk about someone that could get after the quarterback along with being a run stopper, you're hoping Aleem can get to that 5-6 sack mark this season, which, is good enough for me. I think, when you talk about the question marks on that interior defensive line position, I don't think we're expecting. I mean, you don't have a Chris Jones, obviously, but somebody that can at least get somewhat consistent pressure from that defensive tackle position. And in my opinion, it's either going to be, Levi Onwuzurike if he pops off and is incredible, but more likely it's going to be Aleem McNeil, Josh Pascal, maybe Kamitsky if he lines that at D tackle. But Lucas, what do you think? Aleem McNeil, breakout season?
I love this. Yeah, I think this is going to be exactly why, too, because in the NFL, every year it's going to get more athletic and more dynamic. The running backs are going to get more dynamic. The receivers are going to get more dynamic. The tight ends are going to get more dynamic. So not even just for pass rushing sake, but for reacting to a play, a tight end screen, a running back screen. Aleem is now going to be able to get to the ball quicker, get to the player, whoever has the ball quicker, and create plays there as well. And just keeping him healthy, keeping him agile, keeping him on his feet, I think this is an all-around just great move that I would personally, like you saw Aaron Donald, he lost weight and he's playing now some of his best and healthiest football, and he's way older than what he was before, and this allows him to stay in shape. Everything about losing weight is going to keep him healthier, it's going to help him develop in the plays, and it's just going to all add up to a breakout season for Aleem. I 100% agree with you guys.
What about you, JB? Aleem McNeil, what do you think? What kind of season you expected out of him?
I don't know if I'll go as far as breakout season, but it's definitely a season for him to get better and better himself. I give credit to anyone that takes time off to work on themselves, which he did. He took this off season to sit here and cut 13% body fat, dropping 20-plus pounds to improve himself, to become healthier, to become quicker, and develop his game a little bit more in his pass rush. So I give him a ton of credit because last year we've seen a ton of inconsistencies, but he eventually picked it up, and now he's becoming a leader in the locker room, from what Dan Campbell says as well, too. I mean, you lead by example. If you're sitting here telling players, like, hey, look, this is what I'm doing to better myself for next season, you could probably think about doing the same thing as well, too. And I think that flow and that culture will just infect that locker room, and it'll be the same thing.
And to JB's point, too, about him showing up in shape, that's one of Dan's only asks. Show up in shape. And Aleem said, bet.
Yeah,
showed up and lost 30 pounds.
Probably, during the Giants game, he was probably like, wow, I just did this to Saquon fucking Barkley. Like, I can do that. Like, I can do this. Now, let's see what happens if I truly put myself into shape and I show this team, like, hey, you don't need to go out there and draft a Jalen Carter's because you have Aleem McNeil. Now, a lot of people out there wanted Jalen Carter.
Me
but
included.
maybe, you know who heard that, though? Aleem fucking McNeil. I think they're like, okay, I'm ready to show this town that I truly am a defensive tackle that wants to be around here and can, and now I'm willing to show you. This is the first step in it. I think he's going to have a huge year because we got that big body in Broderick Martin, Isaiah Buggs. I mean, we know who we have. I don't need to keep going on the list of it. But I think Aleem's the one that put in the most work, honestly probably has the most talent out of them right now outside of the edge rushers. So there's no reason why Aleem McNeil cannot be our defensive tackle of the future.
Yeah, and you even, I wanted to kind of further my point and confirm it when it comes to what the Lions actually did to Saquon Barkley in that game led by Aleem McNeil. So in the previous game, the Giants played Houston. Saquon Barkley had 35 carries for 152 yards and a touchdown. When he went up against that Lions defense led by Aleem McNeil, 15 carries for 22 yards. That was Saquon Barkley's worst game of the year.
yards per carry.
Yeah, not even close. And that's what you saw when you watched the game. Saquon Barkley was completely neutralized. I mean, Aleem McNeil led a defense that basically choked the life out of him. And it basically, and I don't know how much residual effect this had, Saquon Barkley was never the same as a player after that game. When Aleem McNeil got through with him. Yeah.
Saquon went, like, during that interview where he said that the Lions bust his ass and all that, he literally goes and said the Giants had to redevelop their whole offensive scheme because now a team had a blueprint and how to shut down the team. So that's why Saquon went from leading the league in scrimmage yards. Okay, now he has a different type of style. Now they started running Daniel Jones. That's when Daniel Jones started running a lot more. During that game, I think Daniel Jones had 2 rushing touchdowns, and that's when they started using Daniel Jones to run instead of Saquon Barkley. So Aleem McNeil and the Detroit Lions single-handedly kind of shook up the Giants season just in that game.
And Deluxe chimes in, he says, people sleeping on the impact Josh Pascal is going to have. No, trust me, I'm high on Josh Pascal. I keep mentioning him as one of those guys that you can move to the interior. We talked about it yesterday, Lucas, and I kind of convinced you a little bit. Josh Pascal, man, he's He's nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to find the picture. They pulled it up on heavyweights of Josh Pascal yesterday in training camp. This dude is huge. Like this man,
he is.
He has all the physical tools. I liked him out of Kentucky. It's just the injury worried. I think James Houston played up, so that's why I kind of was sleeping on him. But yeah, Josh Pascal can surprise me and a lot of other people this year.
Yeah, I mean,
sure.
and Josh Pascal, to be fair, he was productive at times when he played. He did. I think sometimes we forget that Josh Pascal, I believe he played 10 games. He had about 2 sacks. He didn't really jump off the screen as much as a guy like James Houston, but Josh Pascal has kind of become that guy that I think we're all sleeping on, and it wouldn't shock me if he had a breakout year as well. And it's funny when we start working backwards. I'm like, Lee McNeil's going to have a breakout year, and also Josh Pascal, and also Aiden Hutchinson is going to have 13.5 sacks. I know we're kind of drinking a lot of Kool-Aid right now, but I do think
it's realistic, though. That's the thing.
Yes,
it's not like this is just ignorance. It's
right.
like we have seen what these players can do, and that's why I'm kind of standoffish on Josh Pascal. But I'm saying I could easily be wrong. I'm not saying you guys are wrong. I just want to see more. A lot of these other players, you have seen them play at high levels, and that's why with the coaching, and they're all so young. All young players are going to get better with good coaching around them. So I do expect more out of all of these players, and it's not ignorant to think that.
I mean, it'll all be a byproduct of, I think, the defense as a whole being better. It also goes in. It's also in sort of coordination with the secondary being better. God, this is if this were the Kool-Aid show when it talks about Detroit Kool-Aid, this is the one right now. But when we're actually working backwards when it comes to this, like Lucas said, it's not that outside the realm of possibility at all. I don't know if everybody is going to have that parlay. If Aiden Hutchinson, Lee McNeil, and Josh Pascal will all have extreme breakout years, but a couple of them might. And with Aiden Hutchinson, you've at least seen it with a full season sample size, leading all rookies in sacks. And with Lee McNeil, I know we keep bringing up that game, but it was one of the most dominant games I've ever seen by Detroit Lions interior defensive linemen. It was a Chris Jones, Aaron Donald, Quinnen Williams type game. And with the weight loss, with the better agility, with the same amount of strength, I think he has a couple more of those type of games in him this year.
Now, I want to get to some of these comments. People are chiming in with Lee McNeil. Answer 14, a ridiculously strong guy who is a lean 305 pounds. Dude is scary this year. Eric Allen says, let's be honest, the Eagles wanted to draft McNeil and traded back because they didn't think we'd take him after taking Levi. He has the talent. Steve says he loses any more weight, he'll be at Applebee's waiter by season ends. I'm not worried at all, though. Going to be a good season for him. Yeah, I don't know about that, but sure. And for more on just Lee McNeil, and I guess my confidence and excitement for him this season is he has the opportunity. Like, they're going to lean on, no pun intended, Lee McNeil a lot this season, because that defensive tackle position, it's in question. You're going to move some guys around, but I think Josh Pascal will help him out, certainly. We're going to go to break. When we get back, I want to bring up something that Rich Eisen discussed on his show, which is how starved this fan base is for any little taste of success.
He spits bars in this.
And he always, by the way, like we talk about Louis Riddick, Rich Eisen, he's up there.
I used to not be able to stand Rich Eisen, and now I respect the hell out of the guy.
I love
Eisen,
that man.
A very fine Michigan man.
Okay, Sam Flannel. Well, on that note, can you tell us about a very fine place where I can go get my hair cut and they can take care of me?
That,
Lady
of course,
Jane's
is Lady Jane's, and a very fine place that I have recently gotten my hair cut. As you guys can see, always having me looking in tip-top shape, especially when it's just the boys here doing a show with the boys. And you can walk into any Lady Jane's for an award-winning haircut experience and automatically enter for your chance to win not one but 2 vehicles of your choice, courtesy of Les Stanford Buick GMC of Ferndale. That's right, 2 cars, one for you and one for your wife, girlfriend, or best bud. Lady Jane's open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Since the dawn of moving people, Chevrolet has led the way. The world of transportation is changing. At Feldman Chevrolet, we are leading the charge forward. With every electric vehicle, every mile traveled, one Feldman at a time. The company that puts more Chevys on Michigan roads is now the #1 name for Chevy electric vehicles.
The only sports network in Detroit that starts with a W. You know, because we win. Woodward Sports, Detroit's winning sports network.
Think you can play some golf? How about beating a professional athlete? It's the Woodward Sports Thursday Night Golf League live at 5-Iron Golf for 12 consecutive weeks, featuring famous courses from around the world played on state-of-the-art TrackMan simulators. In 5-Iron Golf's new 25,000 square foot facility in downtown Detroit. Can you beat Darren McCarty at hole number 12 at Augusta National? I probably can't, but I would like to. What about outperforming Braylon Edwards on hole number 8 at Pebble Beach? Again, I would like to, probably can't, but you can. But you, like me, can try. Do you have what it takes? If so, register for your chance to win a free foursome today. Just follow us on Twitter and Instagram before August 1st and direct message the word golf. That is 5-Iron Golf.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. And again, likes are climbing. I appreciate you guys for showing love. Don't forget, if you haven't already, hit the like button. Show some support for the boys, for the Morning Woodward Show. And if you can't watch live, it's all good. Go back and re-listen. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. But I want to get into Rich Eisen's comments because this man was cooking. And what did he say? Do you have the clip?
Yep.
All right, let's see it. This is Rich Eisen commenting on the Lions fan base.
The Detroit Lions have the most starved fan base most likely to be fed in 2023. They are ready to eat, and I think they are going to be stuffed.
Didn't they just add Denzel Mims?
Yeah, from the Jets. They did. I'm telling you, man.
No weapon.
How about that? They've made the playoffs 8 straight times and got one and done. And then their 9-game losing streak started with the 1991 NFC Championship game loss to the Washington Redskins at the time. Oof. Detroit Lions, I know the bandwagon is full, but there's a good reason for that. They've got playmakers. They sure do. Amon-Ra St. Brown, to me, I've said it before, I believe he is a top 10 receiver in the NFL. And I know you're crazy, what have you. Okay, sounds good to me. Jahmyr Gibbs, so many teams apparently got beaten to the punch by the Lions right there. Mm-hmm. Add him to an offense. I understand, Jamison Williams is going to miss some games. He's going to come back. All right. Jared Goff starting against Kansas City and trying to go point for point with Patrick Mahomes. And they've got a game wrecker on the other side of the line of scrimmage whose job is going to be to wreck the party on Thursday Night Football, Aiden Hutchinson, who, by the way,
man, Rich Eisen, he was cooking. And I don't know what's in that coffee mug. It might have been blue Kool-Aid, but he was saying what Lions fans want to hear. I mean, the man said that Goff would go point for point with Mahomes.
Hit on Amon-Ra St. Brown being a top 10 receiver. He didn't even need to debate. He was like, if you think otherwise, so be it. And he's just like, that's my guy.
Yeah, that. By the way, Rich Eisen knows ball. Like, I love that man. He really does. I love when he speaks. And again, Ryan Reactions mentioned this in the chat. He speaks more about the Lions than a lot of talking heads do. Yeah. He does show a lot of love. Maybe it's because of Hutchinson from Michigan, but regardless, he sees the product. He sees what the Lions are cooking. But when he says the Lions are most likely to be fed, Lions fans, makes you get excited for the season.
Oh, it makes you get 100%
and I'm the scared
excited.
one, but I'm excited.
I mean, I think I wouldn't call you scared, but you know what? I think as the season comes closer, you will drink more Kool-Aid and you will be more stoked than even Lucas at some point, although I don't know if that's possible.
Oh, Lucas already gets stuffed enough, so I think
watch your tone. Watch your tone. When you don't address me with that tone, you understand?
Oh man.
All right.
Look what I just created, and that is perfectly okay. So here's the thing. It's the Lions' time at this point. The Green Bay Packers, they've had their time. They've dominated this division with Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. They've won 4 Super Bowls during the Super Bowl era, where the Lions have won 1 playoff game. But the Packers, they're heading into the Jordan Love era. And I think I'm with Lucas on this one. I don't think Jordan Love is going to be any good.
There's no era with that. It's just this year he's going to wash out. They're going to try to draft a quarterback. Give him a year to develop behind Love, then he's out of here.
I think
Love ship's rolling in 2024.
Who's the backup that he signed?
Alex Magoo. Alex Magoo's coming in.
Alex Magoo's coming in.
That I still can't get over that. That is not his name. But and then you, I mean, you look at the Chicago Bears. They're another team that has had some recent successful seasons. Even in 2018, they won a division. In 2006, they made a Super Bowl. They've had some success, and they won a Super Bowl in 1985. And the Lions, of course, have only won one playoff game since 1957. And you look at the Minnesota Vikings, their time has passed as well. The Minnesota Vikings are a team. They haven't won a Super Bowl in their history, but they've been to 4. They've lost all 4. Ha ha, by the way. But and they also had probably the most fraudulent divisional championship last year, and they lost some of their best players from that team. They are done. They are cooked. It is the Detroit Lions time, and there is no. I'll tell you what. I'm somebody who is not a native Detroiter, but I've lived here for now about 5 years. I've had connections here my whole life. Detroit is a great sports town, and it is led in their fandom by the Detroit Lions. And the Lions have not really loved us back at any point in time. And yes, the Lions fans are absolutely starved because the Lions have been a historically bad franchise. But when you talk to even the most hardened Lions fans, when you talk to the ones even like Terry Foster, who are just very, very quick to dismiss everything they do, even guys like him, even the old heads will tell you that this year just feels different. This era feels different. Brad Holmes is the best GM that they have ever had, and he is building this team right. And I also have to mention, like I said in the beginning, the Packers have fallen off. I believe the Vikings will implode this year. The Bears are not ready to take that step into being a contender.
Let them know, Flannel.
I think they're more of a 6
cooking, baby.
Absolutely. They're in more of a 6 to 8 win range. So this year, it absolutely is the Lions' time.
What are you doing, Jeff? What are you doing, Jeff?
And
he's not scared anymore.
He is not
He's
scared.
not scared anymore.
Yes.
Let's go. Let's go. He looks like that 67 overall right tackle with the Madden created face. That's just sitting there on the sideline.
Hey, Rich Eisen, you've convinced me. Let's roll, baby. NFC Championship appearance. Let's get this thing going.
They're beating Shanahan this year. They're beating Shanahan.
Wait, what'd you say?
They're beating Shanahan this year.
Yeah.
They're going into San Francisco, just like that article said, and they're laying the wood.
Yeah, you know what?
Rodriguez up the A-gap. Ingram, Brock Purdy. Sam Darnold's going to be seeing ghosts. Trey Lance is going to lose it for him. 27-20 Lions. Mark my words.
Listen, Dom Rivera says T-Foss, Uncle T, says the Lions fans are going to be happy this year. That's the first positive thing I've heard him say about the team. You know what? Terry Foster's hype. Boys, we got to suit up.
You got to put him in.
We got to suit up.
Put him in.
All right, this thing won't stay on my head.
This thing was made for pause. Thing was made for Panay.
Someone said I look like David Blau with the helmet.
Yeah, actually, that's not a bad comparison.
Still better than Tim Boyle. Can we all agree David Blau was a better backup quarterback than Tim Boyle? Can we agree on that?
I mean, it's like
that's
comparing.
It's like
comparing apples to
finish
apples.
Like, I mean, I wouldn't even know. Like cream of wheat to
just say
porridge.
shit to shit.
Shit to shit. Like shit in the 4th-story toilet or shit in our toilet over there. It's basically what it is at that point when you're comparing David Blau to Tim Boyle. But I like how you're caping up for you hate Tim Boyle so much, Lucas.
Stand him. David Blau looked somewhat good on that Thanksgiving Day against Chicago. I don't remember the Thanksgiving, whatever game it was.
Look at
Tim Boyle I saw in person. This dude was below trash. He had more interceptions at the University of Connecticut than touchdowns, and he somehow managed to get in the NFL. That is the most mind-boggling thing.
Jesse Adams says Jeff is the third-string small wideout that Lucas played versus back in college. Jake says Juicy looks like that kid from the Little Giants swimming. Answer 14, Jeff is not scared. Lions are assassins. Cutie says Jeff ready to eat. Dre says Jeff looks like David Blau with the helmet on. Yeah, that's bad. That's bad. Matt says Jeff Little Giants extra. Yeah, you know what, guys? I got to get on board here.
He's Radio. You ever see that movie Radio?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, jeez, man.
Oh. Put me in, coach. I want in, coach.
Oh, my God.
I
look
look
at
like
Radio.
I look so stupid with this thing on. Oh, gosh. You know what? Let's go to break. When we get back, let's get to what's trending with Lucas. But before we do that, Sam, could you tell everybody about our great friends over at Swiss Insurance?
Absolutely. And now that summer's here, it is important to make sure you are properly covered. Whether it's a grad party or just a group of people over to enjoy the lake or pool, your liability exposure increases significantly in summertime. Let the Swiss Insurance Group review your coverage and make sure you are protected from an unexpected loss. Check us out at SwissINS.com or call Mark today at 248-800-4177. Again, that is 248-800-4177. 177 Swiss Insurance.
then you should be wearing Woodward sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward sports merch today.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network, and it is that time of the show. It's 9:40. Time to get to what's trending with Lucas. What do you got for us, Lucas?
It is time, and Jeff kind of touched on it earlier, but Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's putting in work, and he's on the, I can't think of the machine, but just watch the video, The jugs machine, that's what it's called.
The jugs. Yeah, that's a grown-ass man right there.
Oh, my bad. I should have had that one.
Dude,
it's okay, Amon. It's okay. Don't worry. It's okay. That man's top 10. And those are top 3 hands in the league. I'd go D-Hop's 1 still. I'm going to give... Who would I give number 2? Maybe let's make that a question.
Cooper Kupp has hands, too.
So who do you guys think? Would you agree that D-Hop has best hands in the league?
Yeah.
So who would you give number 2?
I think there's a couple guys you could put in there. I'd have to look at like catch percentage, but I like Cooper Kupp. He's up there.
I'm with you.
He never drops any passes, rarely.
Sure, hell isn't CD Lamb.
CD Lamb. Like he has the potential.
No, I'm saying CD does not.
No, but he has like the potential you saw in college, but in the NFL he hasn't really shown that. So Devontae Adams, I think is the obvious one. Justin Jefferson, if you bring up hands, but Amon-Ra is like top 5.
Flannel, you have any picks? JB too?
I would probably go with Justin Jefferson, but a sneaky one because he's still in the NFL and just got re-signed. How about Odell Beckham Jr.?
No.
He's not the receiver he once was, but he still has excellent hands.
He has great one-handed catches, but then he'll drop some slants that just hit him in his fucking chest. I mean, you go back to Cleveland days, he had some brutal drops. Again, not all on him. Baker was terrible, but he definitely did not help Baker out much.
I mean, that's fair, but when in Cleveland he wasn't. I'm still looking back at even New York Giants Odell Beckham. That dude was different.
That's a team I could see the Jets being like this year. To how that Browns team turned out.
Oh,
when they got Odell, Jarvis Landry, Jadeveon Clowney. I'm telling you,
not gonna happen.
Yeah, JB, you have any sleepers that you like for best hands in the league?
I probably still got to go with Justin Jefferson. Although I do like Mike Williams though a little bit.
Yeah, he can get up there.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on from there. Speaking of players that you just said got re-signed, here's one that is not going to get re-signed. And Cam Newton, he was called acting a fool. I don't know if this was at a camp, but some kid insulted him, and he did not like it.
Yes. No, you met me. Yes. I met you. Where? Tell me about him. Show me a picture. Show me a picture.
I got an autograph.
Show me a picture.
How many rings you got? Show me a picture.
9.
I got a question.
0.
Oh shit. Oh shit. We got the same amount.
And no, but we don't got the same bank account.
Oh, you're too famous to be acting like that.
No, don't play the victim now.
Okay.
Dude,
I want to speak on this because I was when I saw this, like I had a lot of thoughts on it, and where I come from, at least on my perspective, to kind of comment on Cam Newton, like when people say he shouldn't be doing that, well, you get what you pay for. I mean, if you're going to talk trash and he's going to come up to you and talk back.
Cam Newton is a grown man, a millionaire. If you got money, let your money talk.
No,
you don't need to be air jerking a kid in front of like.
No,
that's what I'm saying.
Listen.
There's levels to it.
No, I get that.
Cam
but
should have just walked away.
From the kid's perspective, like, don't open up your mouth, man. If you can't take what comes back to you.
If that was Kirk Cousins, I'm saying something. But I'm chirping at him.
This is
what
chirping. Pisses me off, man. Like the kid can say, comment on whatever and talk trash, but when Cam has something to say back, he's like, you shouldn't be saying this. You're a professional athlete. Oh, now it's a problem. Well, now you say something and I talk
just
back.
Came back with more just things I couldn't stand about him. The kid should have held his own. I agree with you there, but Cam shouldn't even have interjected with it.
All I'm saying is keep that same energy. If you're gonna go back, if you're gonna talk trash to some athlete, I think of this way for all sports, and they want to talk back to you, don't pull the victim card. Like, keep that same energy. Like, people can talk trash, but when the player comes up to them, and by the way,
what was that energy Cam was keeping?
Okay, I'll say this: like what he did, the gesture, okay, but the fact that he came and was barking back at the fan, I have no issue with that. The fan shouldn't have started it.
What do you think, Flannel?
I will say this though: I hate that whole insult that kid said. Oh, I have the same amount of rings as you, and yes, I have the same amount of rings as Dan Marino. What does that mean? Cam Newton has an MVP.
You're up there with Dan Marino.
I'm up there with Dan Marino, obviously. Like that's the count the rings culture is toxic in all sports discourse. I mean, I know it has a time and place, but saying, "Oh, I have the same amount of rings as you, Cam Newton," he should be banned. Get out of here.
JB, you have any thoughts?
The gesture that shouldn't have happened. Cam, come on, you gotta be better than that. But I kind of agree with Jeff. Like, hey, don't sit here and play the victim card now. Once you see that, hey, you're not winning this argument, you're not winning this dispute, and you're getting clowned in front of your friends as well too. So don't do that.
And to JB's point too, like, guys, I get, like, professional athletes, we expect them to be a certain way, but they're also human beings.
Exactly.
Like, if someone was saying this shit to JB, like, I would expect JB to, like, bark back at the dude. Like, Cam Newton is an NFL quarterback. He's not in the league anymore. JB. He's not playing anymore. Like, Cam's done. He's not worried about getting signed to a contract. Like, who gives a damn? If he wants to come talk trash to a fan, I'm all for it. But to the fan, though, keep that same energy. That's all I'm saying.
Jeff's fired up, but something else that got me fired up in a good way. Denzel Hims, he had some words to speak, and this is what he had to say.
Oh, shit, yeah. For sure. You damn right. I got a chip on my shoulder, for sure. It's time for me to show it, though, and I'm ready to show it. Shit real big, Finally get to go out here and show what I can do and play every position I want to play and just get to do everything I want to do, just not some stuff. So I'm thankful.
He's ready for Detroit, baby. He's got that chip on his shoulder. Shit, yeah, he does. But Denzel Hims, I want a stat line prediction from both of you and JB too, obviously.
Denzel
Hims. He's gonna be the. I think he's gonna be number 3 receiver when it's all said and done week 1, and I think he's gonna have 500 yards, like 35, 40 catches, and 3 touchdowns. That's my Denzel Hims stat line.
I think that's fair. I mean, what did DJ Chark get last season being hurt? Did he
30 and 502.
Yeah, I think he was just over 500.
So I think if Mims could come in and get the respect and he gets that type of leeway, like DJ Chark was playing pretty much immediately, I can see him putting up a similar stat line. I think 500 is a little... Even though when you look at it, you're like, yeah, well, without J-Mo, he can do it. I would say around that number as well. Maybe not 500. I'll go a little under, but even if he gets 300-400, he'll still be featured in this offense.
Yeah, I will go with 25 catches, 400 yards, 3 touchdowns. He'll make a couple of big plays that make an impact, but overall, I think Denzel Mims' career will be looked at as a disappointment, even if he helps the Lions slightly.
Do you think if he plays well, they're going to re-sign him? Like, that'd be a player they'd look to re-sign?
Yeah. Because, again, you have leverage. Like, he's not going to command a lot of money because what leverage does he have? Like, it's one good season. I think so.
JB, your thoughts?
Oh, they'll definitely re-sign him if he does have a good season this year. And I kind of agree with Flannel as well, too. 25 catches, around that 400-yard mark, and at least 3 to 4 touchdowns for me. But he'll have a decent season.
All right, I like it. Well, that was What's Trending with Lucas. Thank you, boys, for helping me out, and we'll be back tomorrow.
Let's go. What's Trending with Lucas? Always bringing the fire, man. We'll go to break. When we get back, we'll get to mailbag, get your questions ready in the chat. We'll try to answer as many as we can. But before we do that, I got to tell you about a defense that'll never let you down. A defense that'll never come last in the league like the Lions were last year, and is Guardian Alarm. An elite defense. They got customized solutions from real experts. They got 24/7 professional monitoring and technology backed by people. I'll tell you one thing. If someone's barking at you like a fan, Guardian Alarm will respond for you. They'll defend you.
No defense stopping me.
They got your back. All you gotta do is call 1-800-STAY-OUT-TODAY. Tell them your friends at Woodward Sports sent you. That's 1-800-STAY-OUT-TODAY. And we'll see you right after the break.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
We're back. It's the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. It is mailbag time. And let's get to some of these questions. Jack asks, why does Lucas bark like a Georgia fan? LOL.
He's got that dog in me.
He does.
Just when things that fire me up, and he's got to let it out. It's the emotion.
He does have that dog
show
in him.
emotion.
Dre asked, mailbag, who's the most productive of the three following receivers? Mims, Marvin Jones, and Reynolds. I'm going to go with Reynolds.
Are we going off yards, touchdowns, or do you just think impact?
We'll just stick with yards, production-wise. I'll go Reynolds because the rapport with him and Jared's already established.
I'm going to go with Mims then for sure because I think Reynolds is one of those guys that's more so in the red zone. I think there's not a lot of, long plays to Josh Reynolds. You know what I mean? I think we could see some deep shot to Denzel Mims.
Man.
Yeah. What about you, Sam? What do you think?
That's tough because when we're working backwards, I said Mims was going to get 400 yards. Maybe it will be Mims. I know it sounds kind of silly to think that Josh Reynolds or Marvin Jones will get less, but I've got Amon-Ra St. Brown with, 1,400. Then you factor in Jahmyr Gibbs. Then you factor in Sam Laporta. It wouldn't shock me if it's Mims, although my head is probably telling me Josh Reynolds because there's just something about that Jared Goff to Josh Reynolds connection. They have that rapport. Obviously not like the Amon-Ra St. Brown rapport, but when Josh Reynolds has had some success when he's played with Jared Goff, at least success by Josh Reynolds' standards.
Jesse asked, mailbag, Jeff JB, what fights are you ready for this Saturday other than the main event? I like my guys Kevin Holland, Bobby Green to get the dubs. I'll say it, JB. I'm excited for Derek Lewis.
Yeah,
and
Jeff.
You've been talking about him
I love
week.
me some Big Lou. My balls are hot.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Derek Lewis I'm excited for, JB. What about you? Anybody different besides the main card, Derek Lewis?
No, I think it's Derek Lewis.
Yes,
definitely
sir.
for me. And I think I got something for you here, Lucas.
My balls was hot.
Yeah. JB, man. He never misses. I swear to you, this man never misses. Let's see. Dante asked, did you see the deal between the Giants and Barkley? Who won the deal? I mean, I would say the Giants.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you gave him a one-year deal. It works out. If he gets hurt, God forbid, you're not tied to him contractually, but if he has a great season, I'm sure he'll be willing to resign. So
I agree because the original deal that the Giants offered Saquon, they wanted, I think, it might have been even. I'm thinking 10, but now that I'm thinking more, I think they offered him $11 million a year to begin with, and he turned it down. So Giants not fleece, but I mean they basically got Saquon for a franchise tag again.
I mean, yeah, you go through running back salaries. I mean, Derrick Henry's making $16 million. He's a cap hit this year of $16 million.
And at the state of their careers, I'm taking
Nick
Saquon
Chubb's almost $15 million. I mean, Tony Pollard got $10 million for that franchise tag. I mean, a Saquon at $11 million. Yeah, I'll take that. Let's read some other comments here, and I saw a question that Dan Wood chiming in. He says, is the Lions better than the Bengals? If so, look at what the Bengals have done to Sam's Chiefs. So there is a chance the opener at Burrowhead. There is a chance in the opener at Burrowhead.
Really? Still calling it Burrowhead after last year's AFC Championship game?
That.
Come on. Stop it.
You know why? Because who's won and head-to-head matchups more in Arrowhead?
I mean, stop it with that Burrowhead. Stop it. The Cincinnati Bengals have won that head-to-head matchup more.
That's why it's called that, then.
I mean, but the Kansas City Chiefs have parlayed that into 2 Super Bowls. The Cincinnati Bengals don't have any Super Bowls as a franchise.
Give it time.
Travis L. says, if the Lions win the Super Bowl, do we get a thank you, Sheila chant at the parade? Yeah, I mean, it would be that. Brad Holmes is goated. It'd be Dan Campbell, MCDC chants. It would be it all. It really would. And probably Jared Goff would be, beloved. No doubt about it. If he's the quarterback that leads this town to a Super Bowl, no doubt. Let's see. Let's get to... Michael Gentry chiming in. What are you excited to see most at training camp Sunday, Lucas? Wow, for Lucas. Okay, Mike.
What do you think I'm a... Sam fucking Laporta, baby. La Hall of Famer.
Yes, sir.
I should have brought that up in what's trending. I think I can bring the screenshot up regardless for shits and gigs, but here we go. It says Sam Laporta reportedly already looks like he'll end up being the tight end 1 in Detroit. Duh. Laporta reportedly took the majority of first-team reps at the Lions' first-team training practice, etc., etc., etc. This man is going to be starting week 1, making a difference. Hall of Fame season and career coming in.
And you already know who I'm excited for. It's Jahmyr Gibbs, baby. I'm excited to see him. I want to see that speed in person. And hopefully Jameson Williams is healthy. I'll be down there Sunday, this upcoming Sunday. Lucas, Mike, Booner will be along with me. So if you got tickets to training camp on Sunday, we'll be there. So hopefully I'll see some of you. But what about you, Sam? Who are you excited to see?
I'm probably going to have to go with Jahmyr Gibbs as well. Just because it's so important that for him to be successful, for this offense to hit that ceiling. He was the first of their draft picks this year. And There's still some question about taking a running back that high, but I think if he can show that he's an offensive weapon, it will be all just fine. I think he's one of those guys that'll really stand out at something like a training camp, be able to see his speed, his elusivity. That is going to be very, very exciting.
Jesse asked Mailbag, which couple gets more touchdowns this year? Gibbs and J-Mo or St. Brown and Laporta? I'm going to go St. Brown and Laporta. Because, again, you have to factor in 6 games missed for J-Mo, and St. Brown's going to get his 8 to 10. And Laporta, they combined for the most the touchdowns from the tight end position in Lions history last year among like 3 guys. If Laporta gets in there and he's far better, he'll get touchdowns. So, yeah.
He will. Laporta and
yeah, no, listen, I love Laporta. We all love him. And maybe you think he'll be a Hall of Famer, which, hey, I love it.
Believe me later.
Yeah, well, hopefully we will, but it'll be probably 15 years before we believe you. So we'll see what happens then. But Laporta's going to be a dog, man. I cannot wait for this season. I just can't. I might put on the Lions helmet again. Jay Hart, Mailbag Pistons update. Killian Hayes trade rumors have been heating up over the night. Thoughts? Yeah, I talked a little bit about this last night on From Half Court. You can go check that out. The podcast drops tomorrow. But for Killian Hayes, maybe potentially a deal involving him and Marvin Bagley before the season. I think that's ideal. But, yeah, I mean, you got Marcus Sasser, Monte Morris. You like your backup guards. So what does that mean for Killian? I don't know. We shall see.
Overseas.
France.
That's what it means.
Big Con 51. Can you picture MCDC wasted out of his mind at a Super Bowl parade giving a speech?
Oh, God.
Remember Mike? You guys see Mike Malone's speech when he was drunk for the Nuggets?
Not what I thought Mike Malone would act like outside of
imagine
MCDC
doing that. Like, I can't imagine. He'd be hilarious. Let's get to one more question before we go. Austin says, what happens if the Lions start the season 0-2? Would you panic? I wouldn't panic. I would be disappointed that they couldn't take one of those games, because if you can't beat the Seahawks or the Chiefs, I think it furthers my belief that they can't go far in the playoffs. So, yeah. I mean, if you take down the Seahawks at home, it is your home opener. To me, that's like a must-win, especially if you lose week 1. Like, you want to start. You can't start off 0-2. It's not ideal for a team. You're trying to win your division.
Yeah.
So you got to get off to a good start.
Now, I would probably panic if they went 0-2 and then we're trailing at halftime to the Falcons and Bijan Robinson. I mean, that would be – I can't even fathom that scenario. But I think at that point we would all be just huddled up in a corner, just breathing heavily and saying, it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay. That's just the stuff of nightmares, especially with all the hype we have. Please don't let that happen, please.
And with the hype we have and will continue to have here on the Morning Woodward Show, again, we thank every single one of you for taking the time out of your morning and choosing us this morning. We're happy to have you. We love all you guys that tune in every morning and stay loyal to the show. Before you leave, hit the like button if you haven't already. And tomorrow we have another packed show planned for you guys, and you're going to want to be there 8 to 10 a.m. And don't forget, Big D Energy comes out 11 to 1, so stick with us. Sam Flannel will be a part of it as well. But until tomorrow, Jeff Iafrate, Sam Flannel, JB, Lucas Klotz, we thank you, and we'll see you guys tomorrow morning.